Well, Brighton unbeaten in 3 games now. You could say they're on fire. This is the FA Cup third round, the greatest competition in club football. Get ready to lose yourself in the football. Coming up now, live commentary from Stoke. They've got Brighton in town alongside former Arsenal winger Perry Groves. Your commentator here on Talksport 2 this afternoon, it's Ian Danter.
Thank you, John, and a very good afternoon to you from the Potteries, wherever and however you're listening to Talksport 2. One of 9 FA Cup commentaries that we're bringing you across third round weekend brings us to the home of Championship Stoke City, taking on Premier League Brighton for the second year in a row in this competition, although it was at round 5 last year where these two teams met, and it was the Seagulls who triumphed thanks to young Evan Ferguson, who at that stage was just starting to become noticed by all of us as a young player of exceptional talent coming through the Brighton system. Well, that's one thing they've done a lot, of course, and Ferguson really has cemented his reputation since then for both club and for country. And he's one of the players that Roberto De Zerbi has brought back into the Brighton side today to try to negotiate this tricky cup tie against a Stoke side who are unbeaten under their new manager Steven Schumacher. He's had 4 games in charge since he arrived from Plymouth Argyle. 3 draws and 1 win, and a couple of notable clean sheets, including against promotion chasing Ipswich Town last weekend. Let's run you through the teams. Stoke makes 6 changes from that draw against the Tractor Boys. Daniel Everson comes in goal. He's just arrived on loan from Leicester City. In front of him, a back 4, it would appear, of Mehdi Larice, Ben Wilmot, Michael Rose and Kiana Hoover. Lewis Baker, Daniel Johnson and Wouter Berger in midfield. Sead Haksabanovic and Bajan Ho either side of Wesley in attack, and a bench of Bonham, Vidigal, Gale, Mai, Jojic, McNally, Sidibe, Lowe and McCarran. Brighton make just 4 changes from the goalless draw that they got last time out against West Ham United in the Premier League. Verbruggen is recalled, so too Dunk after suspension, Moda and the aforementioned Ferguson. Bart Verbruggen is in goal. At the back, Jack Hinshelwood, Jan-Paul van Hecker, Lewis Duncan, Purvis Estepinian, Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore holding in midfield, Facundo Buonanotte, Joao Pedro and Jakob Moda in behind Evan Ferguson in attack. And on the bench, Steele, Webster, Milner, Lallana, Welbeck, Baleba, Pupion, Hinchy and Lee Kavanagh, who's come in very late for Benicio Baker Boiti, who picked up an injury on arrival here at the Bet365 Stadium. And our referee this afternoon is Paul Tierney, who's just sorting out the coin toss between the 2 captains. Lewis Dunk back in the Brighton side today, and Wouter Berger, this cultured midfield player, not dissimilar to the slightly similarly named Sander Berger, now at Burnley, was at Sheffield United. Stoke in their first choice shirts of the red and white stripes, white shorts, white socks. Brighton in their change strip of black and green stripes with black shorts and socks, and Brighton will be kicking from right to left as we look. We're sat right at the back of the Franklin stand, the main stand here at the Bet365, with a booth and end to our left. All players take the knee on the referee's instruction, and the booth and end to our left is the end to which Brighton will be attacking in this first half. And we're underway on Talksport 2 in the FA Cup third round. We've already had a shock in the lunchtime kickoffs with Maidstone of the National League Pyramid knocking out League One Stevenage down there in Kent. Also wins for Ipswich, Coventry, Leicester and Newcastle live on Talksport in the Weir Tyne derby. 3-0 Newcastle won in the end at the Stadium of Light. What of this clash between Championship and Premier League? The ball's worked back to Bart Verbruggen. It's a bright sunny afternoon in Stoke, and there is a high press from Stoke City. That's very much in evidence early on, Perry Groves.
That was amazing, Dance, because when the ball went back to Verbruggen, he actually put his foot on the top of the ball and he waited for Wesley to come and close him down. I think Wesley got within half a yard of him, and he actually gave Wesley the eyes just to put it through to Lewis Dunk.
Bajan Ho wins it back for Stoke City. Berger manages to slide it back to the halfway line. It's very neatly done by Wouter Berger under pressure from 2 Brighton players. Then Hoover, who's playing at right back today, tries to slide it through the inside right channel, comes out to this near side, but just can't be kept in play on this near side by Mehdi Larice. And it looks like Stoke are playing three at the back here, Perry Groves.
Yeah, just looking at the lineup just before they kicked off. You got Hove, Rose and Wilmot, the three centre halves. Lloris is the right wing back. Johnson's the left wing back. Baconburger.
Baconburger, yes please.
I like a bacon burger. Do you like the bacon burger?
With relish, yeah, thank you.
No onions. Baker and Berger obviously in the midfield, and then Bernho and Haksabanovic playing behind Wesley, who's up front for Stoke.
Here is Hoover just chipping the ball in from the right hand side. It comes to Daniel Johnson, who's in an offside position as it deflected into his path off Mehdi Lloris, who trotted forward into the penalty area. So Brighton have themselves a free kick, losing finalists back in 1983. Brighton and Hove Albion, and Smith must score, and all that in the original tie against Manchester United. Steve Foster came back for the replay. He couldn't play in the original tie, and Brighton got walloped.
People forget it was a really good save from Gary Bailey as well, to be fair, wasn't it? 1v1. And when they asked him, Gordon Smith, about, did he ever think about it, it was the Craig Stadler answer, wasn't it? Yeah, every 30 minutes.
Whereas Stoke lost more recently in a final to Manchester City. And Brighton getting away down the left-hand side with Jakob Moder towards the Bootham end, but Keanu Hoover stuck to his task superbly, stayed on his feet, won the ball back, and it's driven over halfway by Lloris. But it's going to trot back to the edge of the area, and Lewis Dunk will pick it up. Jakob Moder showed a great turn of pace down that left-hand side for Brighton, but credit Keanu Hoover for staying with him, 0-0.
Yeah, I think Moder should have got his crossing a little bit earlier. As you said there, Hoover just made sure he tracked his run, and as Moder tried to get his cross in with his left foot, it was a good block from Hoover.
Gross with an early ball looking for Evan Ferguson inside the D, but it's tidied up by Lloris, who very calmly nods it back to Daniel Everson, who only arrived yesterday. He's on loan for the rest of the season from Leicester City, where his opportunities have been limited since Hermansen came in at the King Power Stadium. Wonder whether there might be a permanent deal in the offing for Everson if he impresses in this part of the Midlands in the second half of the season. Gross works it out to the right hand side, and young Jack Hinshelwood, another young player looking very adept in the Brighton first team, picks it back off Billy Gilmore, slides it up to the edge of the area. Ferguson with his back to goal slightly turns away from a couple of challenges. Gilmore plays a square pass to Estepinian, who scored a quite magnificent goal for Brighton at home against Tottenham, wasn't it, the other day in the 4-2 win. And now Dunk back on halfway, pressurised by Wesley, rolls it back to Verbruggen. We played 4 minutes at the Bet365 on Talksport 2. It's 0-0.
Dan's mentioned about Brighton in possession. When they're in possession there, especially on that right hand side, Jack Hinshelwood, although he's playing in a flat back four, he's playing virtually as a wing back, isn't he? He's just like right wide on that right, just to try and push the Stoke back five back as far as he possibly can. And just looking as well from Brighton's point of view, Moder's playing obviously on this left hand side, Bonanete on the right hand side, trying to get themselves nice and close to Evan Ferguson, who's up front with João Pedro just playing in the 10 position.
There are games taking place in League 1 and League 2 this afternoon, as well as all the FA Cup ties I'll keep you in touch with. And Crewe lead at Mansfield. Got their first win in 8 last time out, Crewe, and they lead at the one call through an early goal from Joe White. Mansfield 0, Crewe 1. Mansfield starting the day in second in the League 2 table. Wesley on halfway for Stoke, trying to wrestle for possession with Lewis Dunk, but it's fired back to the right hand corner of the box, and it's cleared away by Verbruggen up to halfway. Wilmot heads it back into the Brighton half, but it's tidied up by first Hinshelwood and then Gilmore, and it's back with Van Hekke and Dunk at the back. Salford City take the lead in League 2. Carl Robinson, the new manager in charge, having left his role at Birmingham City in the week, and Matt Smith has given Salford the lead against Forest Green. That's 21st against 24th this afternoon in League 2. Ball's out of play for a Stoke City throw, Brighton throw rather, on the far right hand side, with Brighton attacking the Bootham end to our left in this first half on Talksport 2. Buonanotte works the ball back to Van Hekke, now out to the right hand side, and Hinshelwood stays on side with Johnson jockeying him, watching his every move. Ball played square to Estepinian, almost in the middle of the Stoke half. Now out to the left hand side, and Moder will give the ball back to Estepinian, and the South Korean Jun just closes down the space, and Brighton forced back into their own half again, 0-0.
Yeah, it's just coming up to 6 minutes played, and both teams, Dance, have been pretty sloppy in possession, haven't they? They haven't been able to get any rhythm even there.
Ball over the top, trying to get João Pedro in behind, and Everson has to wait for it to bounce a couple of times before he can clear it, because it didn't drop into his penalty area, drifted down the right-hand side of his 18-yard box, so he had to put it out for a throw, which Brighton have. 0-0 the score.
They're just saying there that Estepinian had the ball initially on the left-hand side, just a really, really heavy touch that allowed Wesley to come and close him down, and Brighton ended up going backwards 15 yards. That allowed Stoke to just push further up the pitch.
Throw in for Buonanotte, who's scrapping for possession with Hove, but there was a push on the defender. Southampton have the lead already in the FA Cup against Walsall, who've never made it past round 5 in their history. Ryan Fraser for the Saints, the 1976 winners. 0-0 here between Stoke and Brighton on Talksport 2 in the FA Cup, and we'll be straight off to Stamford Bridge once we're done here to pick up live commentary of Chelsea against Preston. That's our 5:30 commentary here on Talksport 2. Joe Shannon and Scott Minto are your commentary team at the Bridge. Here's Daniel Johnson with his familiar dreadlocks tied up at the back in a ponytail. Once a Villa youth player, had a long spell at Preston before coming to Stoke City. Good penalty taker as well, as I recall. Now Stoke coming forward with Lewis Bako. Handball on halfway by Van Hecke, and he gets a yellow card for his trouble for that handball. Does Jan-Paul Van Hecke from Paul Tierney for trying to stop a quick break from Stoke City. 0-0.
Yeah, that's better play from Stoke, coming out for the back with Hoover just getting the ball in that right-sided left-back position, and Lewis Baker just made sure he made a really good angle for him in the centre circle, got himself on the half-turn, and just the ball bounced up. Van Hecke just put his hand up, handballed it.
Now Hove down the right-hand side, early cross into the middle, almost found its way through to Wesley, but Lewis Dunk slid in at the near post and helped to get it clear for Brighton. Now Moda, right in between the two technical areas, on the halfway line on this near side to us, works it infield. Neat possession from Brighton to keep it, because they were under pressure there for a moment. 0-0.
It's got to be a better ball from Ho on this right-hand side. He's just got himself in a bit of space, and what he's got to do, Dance, has got to cross the ball into the space, because Wesley's actually unmarked in the centre. He's got himself in between Van Hecke and Lewis Dunk, and if he just rolls it in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box, Wesley has a right foot tap in, and he's actually hit the first man. He hit Lewis Dunk. Just not the quality that Stephen Schumacher, the Stoke manager, would be looking for.
Moda trying to get in behind Lloris, but the right wing back does well for Stoke, and it's guided back by Ben Wilmot to his keeper Everson. First time clearance, one back by Gilmour. Buonanotte gets into the area. Moda across the face of goal. It doesn't find Ferguson because of a superb interception by Ben Wilmot. Chances at either end with ball sent across the face of goal, and defensive clearance is the order of the day so far. 0-0.
Yeah, it's a really good interception from Ben Wilmot, because Moda just was released down this left-hand side. Again, if it's a better cross, Evan Ferguson marks in the middle.
João Pedro down the left-hand side of the box, twisting and turning, gets a right-footed shot away, and it only goes the wrong side of the post by a whisker, with Buonanotte trying to connect with it at the far post. He actually collided with the upright. Facundo Buonanotte has the ball deflected behind for the first corner of the game, and that corner's gone to Brighton at the Bootham End. 0-0.
Yeah, it's a good play from João Pedro on the left-hand side of the 18-yard box. Just tries to get his cross in, takes a slight deflection, and on the at the far post, you think Buonanotte is just going to nod it into an empty net. I think he'd be a bit braver, Dance, because he saw the post obviously looming, and he smashed into the post with his right shoulder. I think Buonanotte should be scoring.
So a corner for Brighton from the right-hand side, where the Tile Mountain stand meets the Bootham End. Right-footed, out-swinging corner, played short to the right-hand corner of the area. Gilmour, first time crossing, yet Van Hecke can't win the strike. Buonanotte with his back to goal, having run out to the edge of the area to keep possession. Wesley staying with him. Buonanotte gets down to the corner flag of the Bootham End on the left, and then Wesley wins it back, showing great strength, and then he hits it against the Brighton defender. It goes out of play for a Stoke goal kick, and the Stoke fans love it. Incidentally, Cambridge have taken the lead at Blackburn. That's League One travelling to Championship, and Jack Lancaster has made it Blackburn 0, Cambridge 1. Cambridge won at Newcastle last year, didn't they, in the FA Cup? So they're at it again under Neil Harris, who reached an FA Cup final when he was a Millwall player back in 2004.
Was that against Manchester United? 4-0, Manchester United?
Yeah. I think Ronaldo was on fire that day.
as they say.
Might have been Wayne Rooney's first major trophy.
Sorry, when who?
Anyway, here's Mehdi Lloris.
I thought
Just shy of the halfway
be
mark.
happy mentioning him now. He's gone.
I'm just joshing with you. Birmingham are at Hull today in the FA Cup with Steve Spooner in temporary charge.
Wesley flicks the ball on halfway for Stoke, trying to get Lloris away. Nice idea, but it just didn't get in behind Estepinian, who could cover his tracks. Norwich have taken the lead in the FA Cup at home to League One Bristol Rovers. Ashley Barnes. Norwich 1, Bristol Rovers 0. They played 12 minutes there. We've played nearly 12 minutes here at the Bet365 on Talksport 2. Buonanotte in the centre circle for Brighton and Hove Albion. Finds Joao Pedro, who just takes the game down to walking pace on halfway. Estepinian and Gilmour exchange passes. Estepinian looks up, and then Gilmour plays a neat ball into Pedro, who's caught late by Hoover. Free kick and a yellow card for the Stoke number 17 for that challenge on Joao Pedro that gives Brighton and Hove Albion a free kick, 0-0.
Yeah, just a really heavy challenge there from Hoover. So they're coming to Joao Pedro. Actually, Joao Pedro did really well because he could feel that Hoover was like coming steaming in, and he made sure as he just laid it off, he jumped up in the air just to make sure he took away the real physicality of the challenge, because if he keeps his standing foot on the floor, that could be even more danger for him. Just looking at Stoke, you can tell Stephen Schumacher wants Stoke to play out from the back. There's been a couple of times the centre halves of Stoke City, Ben Wilmot and Michael Rose, who've got the ball and tried to ping it either into Wesley and into Lewis Baker, but the first pass has been really good. It's the second one where either Wesley hasn't held the ball up properly, or Lewis Baker's got to get himself on the half turn to play that next pass.
That's the thoughts of Perry Groves alongside me, Ian Danter here on Talksport 2. There's another Brighton player gone down. It's Buonanotte, but play continues because the Seagulls are in possession. Jakob Moder just puts his foot on the ball just inside the Stoke half of the field. Buonanotte just getting to his feet over on the far side of the field. He's going to be the pantomime villain for a bit. Bradford 0, Crawley 1 in League 2 this afternoon. Crawley 1-2 out there, Leicester, and Danilo Orsi puts them ahead. Another goal for him. Here's Evan Ferguson for Brighton inside the area. Left hand side to play it across the box with the outside of his right foot. Actually quite easy to defend for Michael Rose, who got it clear for a Brighton throw, 0-0.
Yeah, Brighton actually kept the ball because they knew that Buonanotte wasn't injured, so they kept it, didn't they? A little bit of keep ball on the halfway line from Gilmour into Estepinian and then to Moder, and then just tried to flick it inside to Evan Ferguson, who probably just chose the wrong pass where he should be trying to dink it up onto the far post. And you heard the ironic cheers from the Stoke City fans, didn't you, when Buonanotte got up, because everybody in the stadium dance knew that he wasn't hurt.
Yeah. And he's quite happily trotting around the edge of the Stoke City area. Stoke have a throw in their own defensive third. Hoover will chip it up to halfway. Wesley is offside, says the assistant on this near side, right next to the new Stoke manager, Stephen Schumacher, appointed just before Christmas. Yet to lose, he won 57 out of his 108 games at Plymouth Argyle in a 2-year spell that included them winning the title in League One, 100 points. I believe that Plymouth have appointed Ian Foster as the new manager at Home Park. Now Lloris for Stoke in the area, right hand side, checks back onto his left foot, gets the drive away, and it's well saved right in front of goal by Verbruggen. First real chance of the game, and it's gone to Stoke City on the quarter-hour mark, 0-0.
It was a fantastic ball from Valtberger, just pushing the ball inside Estepinian, Brighton's left back. He said there, Purvis got himself, Lloris got himself away, and what he should be doing, Dance, he actually should be taking his first touch across Lewis Dunk, and he's actually tried to cross it.
Given away by Junho down the right-hand side of the box to the byline, across the face of goal, and he's turned into his own net for an own goal by Jan-Paul van Hecker, and Stoke City lead with 15 minutes gone. They hit the front, having got in behind Brighton down their right-hand side, and the cross came in from Bai Junho, and it was turned into his own net for an own goal by Van Hecker. It's Stoke 1, Brighton 0 in the FA Cup.
Yes, Lewis Dunk really sloppy in possession, giving the ball away. Then it's recycled to Bai Junho, who gets himself into the 18-yard box to just make sure that he just gets his head up, he puts it into a dangerous area, just puts it across the 6-yard box. And Paul Van Hecker, he can't get his legs sorted out and his feet sorted out, Dance. It's just like he's got hobnail boots on. He's got to make sure that he just lets the ball roll across his body, and as the ball's come to him, say he's like someone's tied his shoelaces up, both feet are on the floor, just ricochets off him, goes into the back of Brighton's net to put Stoke City 1-0 up.
As soon as the ball was played out of defence, intended for João Pedro, and Hove was straight onto it in a flash. And great work down the right-hand side by the South Korean, Byjun Ho, to set that one up. So Stoke lead here at the Bet365. Sheffield United have taken the lead in the FA Cup at Gillingham. William Osula puts them 1-0 up at the Priestfield, and Bristol Rovers have equalised at Norwich. That's now 1-1. Grant Ward with the equaliser for the Gas. So the Premier League side find themselves behind here at Stoke City. And in goes Hoover and Lloris strongly to win the ball off Jakob Moder. Just what Steven Schumacher would have wanted to see, and the high press has borne fruit already for Stoke City, Perry Groves.
Yeah, just really sloppy play from Lewis Dunk. He should realise that obviously Stoke want to press high. He should be going into Evan Ferguson. Stoke City were right up on the halfway line, and I have to say, Byjun Ho, he had a chance probably about 10 minutes earlier, Dance, where he should have picked out the right pass and just whipped it across the 6-yard box. He's actually learnt from his error in the first place, and he just rolled it into that dangerous area on the 6-yard box. Van Hecker couldn't get his feet sorted out, so Stoke have got themselves a goal to the good. And you have to say that Brighton haven't really imposed themselves on Stoke City, Dance, have they? Because every time it's going to midfield, Stoke are on the front foot, they're going to press and close down. So Steven Schumacher will be really pleased.
And remember, Brighton haven't made wholesale changes this afternoon. It's not like they've changed 11 around, only 4 changes, one of them in goal. 3 outfield players have been switched from their game against West Ham. Steven Schumacher's former side Plymouth have taken the lead in the FA Cup against Sutton United. Luke Cundle makes it Plymouth 1, Sutton 0 at Home Park. We shouldn't forget Sutton's FA Cup exploits in my lifetime, beating Coventry in 89, who'd won it in 87, and winning it against Leeds at Gander Green Lane just a few years ago.
And that was after Coventry, they were the FA Cup holders, weren't they?
They were. Now here's Wesley giving chase for a ball floated across from the right-hand side. Onside, says the assistant. Wesley goes for goal, and it's only just the wrong side of the post from Wesley from the left-hand corner of the penalty area. Just fancied having a crack goalwards there, Wesley, and he wasn't far off. Goal kick to Brighton, Stoke lead 1-0.
Yeah, it was really good play from Lloris on this right-hand side. Release Wesley, just a crossfield ball. Wesley on the left-hand corner of the 18-yard box, just coming inside on his right foot. He's just trying to bend it inside Verbruggen's left-hand post. Couldn't quite get enough curl on it.
Brighton have given it away again, and it's worked out to Byjun Ho on this right-hand side once more. Comes in field, the South Korean. Plays a square ball for Johnson. He lays it off for Berger. Berger at to Lloris on the right wing, level with the edge of the area. Now it's just touched in field for Wouter Berger. The captain's going to go for it, and it's right at Bart Verbruggen. He held on to it well. Lovely, sweet strike from the left foot of Wouter Berger. But Verbruggen dealt with it well enough. It stays Stoke 1, Brighton 0 on Talksport 2.
Yeah, nobody going to close Wouter Berger down. It was Pascal Gross who tried to get close to him. Really good strike with his left foot. Just put his laces through the ball, went straight down Verbruggen's throat.
Hull 0, Birmingham City 1 in the FA Cup. Lukas Jukovic back in the Birmingham side today. Puts them ahead at the MKM. 1-0 to Stoke here on Talksport 2 at the Bet365. But here come Brighton. Ferguson runs into traffic. 2 or 3 Stoke shirts converging on him, and then Lewis Baker is fouled by Billy Gilmore on the turn as he tried to launch a counter-attack, and Stoke have a free kick inside their own half, and the Potters lead 1-0 here, Perry Groves.
Yep, he's just said Steven Schumacher wants his team to play on the front foot. I have to say that Wouter and Lewis Baker in the centre midfield for Stoke, they're the ones who are starting to dictate play. Wouter especially, his first look is to get it forward.
Oh, now Lloris is in behind, although out will come Verbruggen to the edge of his area. Suddenly the defenders didn't know where they were. Moder was to play a caught out in the end, really. Lloris in the right wing-back position on this near side to us, got in behind him and looked favourite to get there just for a moment, but the goalkeeper for Brighton, Verbruggen, his starting position was so good, he was able to come out to the 18-yard line and clear.
Yes, the archetypal sweeper keeper, wasn't it? Really good starting position on the edge of his 18-yard box for Verbruggen.
A foul throw from Mehdi Lloris. I've not seen a foul throw in donkeys.
Mehdi Lloris should be fined for that, because he should, because It's just like he was trying to wipe both of his ears, and he's got the ball in his hands at the same time, and he's actually nearly fallen over.
He has nearly fallen over. He's remedied it by winning a good strong header. The ball's bouncing around the halfway line. Wilmot gets in first for Stoke City, and it's tidied up at the back by Lloris, who's been everywhere in this game so far. The right wing back for Stoke, played out to the left-hand corner of the box, up to the halfway line. Haksabanovic holds it up for Johnson. Most of Stoke's play's been down this near side to us, the right, but they're now looking left-hand side, but the ball sails over the head of Haksabanovic. But a heavy touch from Van Hecke almost allowed Haksabanovic to win it back off him. But Brighton in possession inside their own half. Lewis Dunk, who couldn't play against West Ham because of suspension, and it's guided back to Bart Verbruggen. We're nearly at the midway point of the first half on Talksport 2. It's 1-0 to Stoke here.
Again, there's just a little sample of Stoke City being on the front foot. When the ball goes into Pascal Gross, who's playing just a little bit in front of Billy Gilmore, it was Lewis Baker who was the nearest. He went and closed him down, and then as Gross just went to go past him, Haksabanovic was the next one in. So you can tell that Steven Schumacher's worked in training on the closing down, with the first man who starts it off and 2 and 3 going after him.
You're listening to Stoke 1, Brighton 0 in the FA Cup on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. Talksport breakfast back on Monday morning. We reunite Jeff Stelling with Ali McCoist for Monday and Tuesday breakfast from 6 a.m. when you wake up. All the best guests to set you up for the sporting day with Jeff and Ali on Monday and Tuesday. And then White and Jordan with Graham Souness from 10 a.m. Monday morning. Brighton coming forward. They're a goal down here. Jakob Moder, the Polish international, looking to get the better of Lloris, and he has got the better of him into the area, hits it against Hoover and wins a corner kick for Brighton and Hove Albion at the Bootham end. 1-0 Stoke.
Yeah, strong play from Moder down this left-hand side for Brighton, just getting himself past Lloris. We said there, then Hoover making sure he's covering for his teammate. To be fair, it's been a good little battle down this left-hand side with Moder and Lloris, and at the moment you have to say that Lloris is coming out on top.
Playing very well, but it is a corner kick to Brighton. Down this near side where the main stand meets the Bootham end. Be a right-footed in-swinger from Pascal Gross, right underneath the crossbar to the far post, and it's volleyed over the bar at the far post by the captain Lewis Dunk, although it might even have been out of play by the time he applied his right foot to it. 1-0 here to Stoke. Blackburn have equalised against Cambridge United in the FA Cup, and their main goal getter Sammy Szmodics has got that equalising goal at Ewood Park. So the goals in the FA Cup: 1-1 at Blackburn, Sheffield United 1-up at Gillingham, Birmingham 1-up at Hull, Norwich Bristol Rovers is 1-1, Plymouth 1-up against Sutton, and Southampton 1-up at Walsall. No goals anywhere else, but there's a goal here, and it's gone to Stoke City courtesy of an own goal from Jan-Paul Van Hecke, and we've played 24 minutes of the first half. Throw into Stoke inside their own half, to be taken by Mehdi Lloris right next to Roberto De Zerbi. That's a better throw in that time from Lloris, and he finds Wesley. Great strength, and Lloris is away again down the right hand side, just got ahead of Estepinian for a moment, but Estepinian gets back in position well. Lewis Baker and Lloris now combine, and then Hoover finds Rose, and back it goes to the keeper. Michael Rose, I watched at Coventry last season, who was playing with Luke McNally, who are both here now, and they looked a very good partnership for Mark Robbins' team. Mark Robbins' team have won handsomely in the FA Cup today. If you don't know, they beat Oxford by 6-2 and will be with Coventry on Talksport 2 next Saturday lunchtime as they entertain the Championship leaders Leicester City. I'll be there with Dean Ashton. That's a really good looking game because Coventry are now on the fringes of the playoffs, somewhere where Stoke City would dearly love to be, but they've got FA Cup commitments here this afternoon. Steven Schumacher trying to reignite the passions of the local support, and they're ahead here, but João Pedro drifts out to the right hand side of the penalty area to receive a ball clipped towards him. Chops away from Hoover, brilliantly done by João Pedro, and a header over the bar from Jakob Moder. Superb skill on the right hand side by João Pedro. How on earth he got past Kiana Hoover, I don't know. And then he clipped across in front of goal, about 6 yards out. Jakob Moder got his head to it, but just couldn't keep it down. and it's a Stoke goal kick. 1-0 to Stoke.
You said there, Dance, how he got past Hove, I'll never know, because Hove actually was facing the wrong way, and he actually just thought, where's João Pedro gone? Because it was a fantastic, he said it was like a overextended Cruyff turn, where he just exaggerated it, and he's actually pushed the ball into the turf, and it's bounced up, and he just spun away from Hoover, and then as he looked up, he's chipped it from the byline, and it was Moda coming in from this left-hand side, couldn't get his header in properly.
There's going to be a goal kick once Paul Tierney's got his communication equipment fixed. He's just having some running repairs done to his microphone and earpiece, the referee on this near side. No VAR today, even though this was a Premier League ground. Only VAR being used at Premier League Stadium. Work that one out for me. It's absolutely stupid.
How is that a level playing field?
It's
then?
ridiculous.
With different decisions.
And this has been
games.
a Premier League Stadium in the not too distant past, and yet nope, doesn't work for VAR. Come on now. Blackburn 1, Cambridge 2. Cambridge back in front at Ewood Park. Sully Kaikai. They weren't level for long, Blackburn Rovers at Ewood Park. Back underway here on Talksport 2 at the Bet365. Stoke 1, Brighton 0. The Premier League side finding themselves behind to that goal early on in the piece, an own goal from Jan-Paul van Hekke. But here's Evan Ferguson looking to thread the ball through to João Pedro, and he got involved in a clash between two Stoke players, Hoover and Wilmot, and the ball eventually deflected away for a Brighton corner at the Boothen end, their third of the match, but they trail by a goal to nil.
Yeah, just Evan Ferguson dropping a little bit deeper, just trying to release his teammate João Pedro, who went and played in the centre forward position on the 18-yard box. You said there, Wilmot and Rose just converging on him, making sure that they go and close the ball down. Just ricocheted, corner for Brighton on their left-hand side,
which Pascal Gross will take. Another right-footed in-swinger from the German. Pedro is in the 6-yard box, so to his Moda. The cross comes in, it's over the bar from Lewis Dunk, who rose highest on around the 6-yard line, but just couldn't keep his header down, and it looped high over the crossbar for a Stoke City goal kick. Stoke 1, Brighton 0 on Talksport 2.
Yeah, it's good defending from Stoke City. Said there's Lewis Dunk just trying to attack the ball on the edge of the 6-yard box, so Ben Wilmot just made sure that Lewis Dunk couldn't get a free head up, just lent into him with his left shoulder. In the end, Lewis Dunk just headed the ball over the crossbar.
Wesley, great strength, but he was fouling his man on halfway, says Paul Tierney. He can't believe the decision's gone against him, Wesley, as Chesterfield take the lead at Watford in the FA Cup. Joe Quigley makes it Watford 0, Chesterfield 1. Remember, Adrian Durham's taking you around the grounds with goals as they go in this afternoon over on Talksport, here on Talksport 2. Our concentration is firmly here in the Potteries on a late sunny winter's afternoon. Stoke City 1, Brighton of Albion 0. Van Hekke finds Pascal Gross up to the edge of the area, tried a shot, it was blocked by Berger. Gilmour works it out to the right hand side looking for Henshawood, but the cheers of the home fans will tell you he's overcooked the pass, and instead it's a throw into Stoke in their left back position. 1-0 to the Potters.
Yeah, that sort of sums Brighton up, Dance, in this first half an hour, because normally they're free flowing, aren't they? Easy on the eye, good passing movements and patterns, and they've just been giving the ball away very, very cheaply. When João Pedro's just dropping a little bit deeper, it's Hove who's actually going in all the way with him, released himself from those three centre halves for Stoke City just to make sure that João Pedro can't get himself turned. And you have to say, I can't remember Daniel Everson in the Stoke City goal making a save in anger.
Might have to make a save in a minute because Brighton have won it back. It's Yakumoda up to the edge of the area, and Buonanotte trying to wriggle his way through down the left-hand side of the area, but Everson comes out and plunges on top of the ball at the corner of his 6-yard box, and Stoke maintain their 1-goal lead.
Yeah, Buonanotte coming off from that right-hand side. To be fair, Michael Rose did really well, because it looked like Buonanotte was just going to get his toe to it, and all Michael Rose did was just this lent across him, and that meant that Buonanotte couldn't continue his run, just went into Daniel Everson's hands.
1-0 here in League One. Port Vale 0, Charlton 1. Corey Blackett-Taylor gets another goal for Charlton as they lead at Vale Park. Now Lewis Baker's gone down for Stoke, and then there's a foul on Evan Ferguson, who grabs the ball as soon as he was on the deck and wanted to take the free kick quickly, but instead the referees looked into the other half of the field, the Brighton half, where Lewis Baker looks in a little bit of distress as he lies on his side and wants some treatment, and Paul Tierney says, yep, you can come on, physios, and take care of your number 8. Stoke 1, Brighton 0. Head over to the boxing YouTube channel that Talksport has. You can watch the latest episode of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver in full. This week the boys discussed Anthony Joshua's performance in Saudi before Christmas and who the 2-time world champion should fight next. Of course, we now know it's going to be Francis Ngannou, who fought Tyson Fury just recently. That'll be in February, we believe. But the Talk Boxing YouTube channel is there with all sorts of great content.
Would it be fair to say that Ngannou took Tyson Fury a little bit by surprise?
Without question. So if he takes Joshua by surprise,
I think Anthony Joshua will be probably in his training camp. He'll take his training camp a little bit more seriously than Tyson Fury did, because you could tell the first time that Ngannou hit Tyson Fury, it was a look of surprise, wasn't it? His eyes think, no, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're like MMA. You're not supposed
if you're
to
a
be
heavyweight, you can smash somebody in the face, I imagine. I don't,
I think he surprised him with how compact he was as well, on the style of his boxing.
Well, Lewis Baker's back on his feet. You've missed none of the action here at the Bet365. There'll be a couple of minutes therefore to add on at the end of the first half. Baker's trotted to this near touchline. It's going to be okay to continue, but meanwhile he's got to wait 30 seconds whilst Brighton take the free kick down the right-hand side of the Stoke City penalty area. Hinshelwood has to run away from the penalty box to keep possession. Van Hecke, whose own goal separates the sides, finds Dunk in the centre circle. Now Estepinian just to his left, gives it back to the Brighton skipper. He looks up and drills the ball into the feet of Buonanotte in the midway point of the Stoke half. Infield to Gilmour. Gilmour trying to thread it through to Gross, but it deflected into the path of Johnson. Lovely touch from Berger. Haksabanovic is away down the left-hand side, and Baker's back on, and he's calling for the ball on this near side. Berger tries to spread it across to him, but can only find Jakob Moder. Now Brighton have it back and try and break through the middle, but Berger steps in front of the intended through ball for Ferguson, but the ball's pinging around like a pinball at the moment, and Brighton have it back. Estepinian just over the halfway line, options left and right, and goes back into his own half for Dunk. 1-0 Stoke.
Well, the biggest compliment play, so obviously they're 1-0 up, and you say deservedly so, is that they've stopped Brighton from playing. Because against West Ham, Roberto De Zerbi, the Brighton manager, said that's probably one of the best performances that he's had from his Brighton team, and we've seen Brighton live a few times, Danson, and they've been exhilarating.
At Wolves, they were fantastic to watch. At Old Trafford, they convincingly won the game. Yes. So that's quite a statement from Roberto De Zerbi for a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, and with Steven Schumacher, you can tell that his team's very well drilled when they're...
Foul by Lloris as he waited for Estepinian to try and let the ball run out of play for a goal kick. He slid in right at the last, Mehdi Lloris, and he caught Estepinian. He did keep the ball in play, but he took the man first. And the referee is going to want a word with Mehdi Lloris. Estepinian, meantime, is very slowly picking himself up off the floor. I said slowly, Perry goes. I said slowly. I did not say the G word.
Tentatively picking himself up.
It's not in my lexicon anymore. You've kicked it out of me. Anyway, free kick to Brighton and Hove Albion. Nearly 10 minutes to half time. Stoke lead 1-0 on Talksport 2. Ferguson giving chase to a ball hit down the left-hand side. He's brought it down neatly. Options in the centre of the half. Pascal Gross striding to the edge of the area, and he gets up to the edge of the box, tried to turn inside Wouter Berger, and Berger just stole it off him, and it's clipped forward by the new goalkeeper Iversen. Van Hecke wins a strong header. Then there's a push in the back, was there? No. Gross is told to get up by Paul Tierney. Perhaps he went down too theatrically for the referee's liking. Meantime, Stoke want to throw in. It's all going the Potter's way in that little passage of play. 1-0 Stoke lead.
Yeah, to be fair to Stoke City, they've made the game a little bit disjointed, exactly how they want it to be when they're out of possession, because it was good play from Evan Ferguson in the left-hand channel for Brighton, and just squared it through to Pascal Gross. And Pascal Gross takes his first touch out of his feet. He should be getting his shot away, but he just took a little bit too much time. That allowed Wouter Berger to come and just knock him off balance and just nick the ball away from him.
For Bruggen, the Brighton keeper almost given away by Billy Gilmour. In fact, Haksabanovic does win it back down the left-hand side of the box. Does he get it back from Daniel Johnson? He does, but now he's under pressure from Gross. But great tenacious work from Sead Haksabanovic
Johnson has to work it back to halfway to keep possession, but the Stoke fans are enjoying this as well. They might. 1-0 up on the Premier League opposition. Now it's with Mehdi Lloris on this near touchline, just clips it back in field to Lewis Baker. Baker finds Berger, lovely turn to get away from Gross, and now Hoover again inside right channel, early cross looking for Wesley. The header is saved right in front of goal by Verbruggen, and Wesley puts his hands in front of his face. He feels he should have done better with that header. Stays 1-0 to Stoke.
I think he chose wrong option, Dance, because it was really good play from Walter Berger. Just lost his marker. Really cheeky little cross in from this right hand side from Hove. And I think that Wesley should be taking the ball down on his chest, Dance.
The shirt pull on Buonanotte. There's going to be a yellow card for a Brighton player. In fact, the yellow card, forgive me, has been issued to Buonanotte for too much back chat to the referee. There has been a yellow card issued to the Stoke player as well, but Buonanotte's had too much to say for himself after that challenge and talked himself into a yellow card, having won the free kick.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit of frustration from Buonanotte. You say there, Hove get himself nice and tight.
And Rose
and Rose coming in as well, and he's just managed to ride across Michael Rose, and Michael Rose just obviously put his hands around his waist. So Buonanotte getting frustrated. Obviously was a little bit too chirpy towards referee Paul Tierney, who was giving him a yellow card just on the earlier one. I think Wesley actually did brilliantly just to pull off the back of Van Hecker. And what he should be doing, Dance, is actually chesting the ball down, and he can hit it with a left foot on the volley, and he's headed it from 10 yards, and in the end didn't get enough purchase on his header, and he just went through simply to Verbruggen.
Thoughts of Perry Groves alongside me, Ian Danter here at the Bet365. 1-0 to Stoke. Blackburn have equalised again against Cambridge, and again it's Sammy Smodics, 2-2 there. Free kick for Brighton, almost at the midway point of the Stoke half. Gross drifts it along to Lewis Dunk at the far post, who heads it across the 18-yard box, but there's no Brighton player in a green and black shirt to win it back, and instead Stoke try and counter. Haksabanovic just holds play up just shy of the halfway line, taken off his toe by a Brighton player, but illegally, says the referee, and Stoke get a free kick. But I think the Stoke fans wanted Stoke to play on, because Baijun Ho was making tracks into the Brighton half. 1-0 Stoke lead.
Yeah, it was really good play, but Haksabanovic initially, he's got sandwiched between two Brighton players. He said Baijun Ho just nicked the ball away and looked like that Stoke had a 3v3 situation. I think Paul Tierney, the referee, should be playing advantage dance. Sometimes you, as a referee, just count to 5 and you'll let the play sort of develop, and that's why the Stoke City fans were a little bit frustrated.
Well, the free kicks come to nothing really. Eastleigh are down to 10 men in their game at Newport in the FA Cup. George Langston getting a straight red card, but that's still 0-0 in that cup tie. Quickly taken free kick by Dunk, trying to set Hinshelwood away down the Brighton right. Lovely run by Hinshelwood, early ball into the box. Buonanotte with his back to goal, turns and fires it just the wrong side of the post for Facundo Buonanotte. Dunk with a really searching ball to find Jack Hinshelwood down the right hand side. Good ball into the area from the right, and Buonanotte turned and slotted a left foot shot the wrong side of the post. Stoke still in front here on Talksport 2, 1-0.
Brilliant searching ball for there from Lewis Dunk, just taking the free kick really quickly, fully 60 yards, just releasing Hinshelwood out on that right hand side, just getting the ball into the 18-yard box. I think actually Buonanotte can just hold his run a little bit down, so I think he's gone a little bit too early because the ball then went behind him. He said then took his touch, swiveled with his left foot. In the end, Iverson just watched it go aimlessly past his left hand post.
Flick on by Lloris, almost got Wesley through the middle for Stoke. Brighton only half clear it, and Wilmot has it back for Stoke. Now down the left hand side with Wouter Berger, just lobs it in the air so that Johnson can have it back. Neat and tidy from Stoke City, quite a lot when they're in possession of the football. Rose is caught late as he just hopped over a challenge on halfway, and he's gone down, Michael Rose. Evan Ferguson was the man that clipped him. Free kick to Stoke just shy of the halfway line. Stoke lead by 1-0. We've got just less than 5 minutes of normal time to go in this first half.
Yeah, it's just a knee on knee there. Evan Ferguson trying to close down Michael Rose, just accidental, just as he stretched to try and get his block on. His knee caught the side of Michael Rose's knee. They can be like really painful, dance. So it's just like an impact injury. Stokes physio's running on. Michael Rose is gonna be okay. I have to say, I've been really impressed with Stoke City, we didn't know what formation they were going to play. Obviously, they're playing the 3 centre halves, but in the centre midfield area, I think that Lewis Baker and Walter Berger have been outstanding. And Walter Berger, especially, we said about players taking responsibility. Obviously, the Stoke City captain, I think that he's kept Stoke tick along nicely in possession. He gets himself on the half turn. Was he about 6'3", 6'4"? But he moves very well.
Well, he does look like Sander Berger, spelt differently, but similar sort of physicality, similar sort of position on the pitch as well. Rosie's back on his feet, incidentally. Goals going in elsewhere in the FA Cup. Young Sinclair Armstrong has given QPR the lead against Bournemouth. That's Championship against Premier League. 1-0 to QPR. Back in League 2, Forest Green have equalised at Salford City. Charlie McCann making it 1-1 at the Peninsula. And Sheffield United have a second in that tricky-looking FA Cup tie they had down at Stephen Clemence's Gillingham. William Asula with his second of the afternoon. Gillingham 0, Sheffield United 2. Free kick to Stoke, who lead by a goal to 0. It's pretty much bang on halfway. Drilled by Ben Wilmer out to this near side of the right, and Lloris, the Algerian, got his head to it, heads it towards the edge of the D. It was well defended by Van Hecker. Lloris has hurt himself. There's a head injury as he went in for the aerial challenge. He's just lying flat on his back 20 yards outside the area, and the physios who've just been treating Michael Rose on that far side now sprinting across to this near side to attend to the Algerian. Still 1-0 Stoke.
Yeah, Portini, obviously with a head collision, he has to make sure that he brings the physios on, because it's Mehdi Lloris just coming on the blind side of Estepinian, and it was Mehdi Lloris who come off worst. So it's just an accidental clash of heads.
I've been impressed with him, Mehdi Lloris. He's joined from Sampdoria in August. Scored a few goals as well so far. Got a few caps for Algeria under his belt. Plays an attacking midfielder, but he's certainly playing as a very effective right wing back today for Stoke. He's back on his feet. Solihull Moors lead Woking in the National League by a goal to 0, and also Southend 1-0 up on FC Halifax Town. And the leaders of the National League, Chesterfield, in FA Cup action today at Watford, and they are leading by a goal to 0 at Vicarage Road. Remember, earlier today you heard it live on Talksport. The Wear Tyne derby most definitely went the way of the Tyne. Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3, also Millwall 2, Leicester 3, Maidstone of non-league knocking out League 1 Stevenage by a goal to 0, Coventry 6, Oxford 2, and AFC Wimbledon 1, Ipswich Town 3. There's potential substitute action going on here. Lloris is going to be allowed to come back on the field, but there seems to be a bit of chat going on with the Stoke staff about the potential for a change around here, whether he's going to be okay to continue or whether that head injury might have caused him a problem. Meantime, we're back underway. Brighton do their best to put the ball out of play, but they managed to keep it in play in the end.
I think they're keeping their eye on Ben Wilmot as well, because I think he had that knee-on-knee collision, didn't he, with Evan Ferguson?
Lloris is not going to continue. He's turned away from the touchline and he's been led back, and I think he's been told that his race is run. And I think they're just taking the proper holistic care of the player. It could be a double change for Stoke City, and it's going to be Luke McNally who's going to come on to replace him. But back to that in a moment, because here come Brighton. They're a goal down. Buonanotte finds Estepinian in the area, just couldn't take the ball with him, and then it's cleared away by Stoke, and Walter Berger has only got Wesley ahead of him. Wesley just shy of the halfway line. Berger wants it back through the middle. Wesley couldn't find him. He was probably offside anyway, Walter Berger, from that attempted through ball from Wesley. But they broke very quickly there, the Potters, but it was only really Berger and Wesley who were up in that break. 1-0 Stoke lead.
They said air dance. I think Walter Berger just got a little bit carried away because he's probably a good 2-3 yards offside. So Wesley's got to make sure that he gets his head up.
We're into 6 minutes of minimum stoppage time at the end of this first half on Talksport 2. Stoke City 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. As Swindon go 2-0 up on Colchester in League 2. Tom Brewitt with the second at the county ground. Berger again, now down the far left-hand side. Has he kept it in play? Yes, he has. I thought he'd taken it out of play, but he's worked it infield, but couldn't find either Wesley or down this near side Haksabanovic, who's switched sides for the moment. And Brighton have it back. McNally's still waiting to come onto the field in place of the injured Lloris. So Brighton with a man advantage just for a a little while longer. In 6 minutes of added time, we've played nearly one of those 6 minutes. Here's Jack Hinshelwood. Got support from Buonanotte and Gross on that far side. Gross just tucks it in field for Van Hecke, and he was caught by Lewis Baker, and that's a free kick to Brighton, a chance for them to send the ball into the Stoke box. Now the change can be made, and McNally coming on, and QPR have got a second against Bournemouth. Lyndon Dykes making it QPR 2, Bournemouth 0. Championship leading Premier League at Loftus Road and here at the Bet365 as McNally comes on for Lloris. First job he has is to help his defenders with this free kick that Brighton have. To the right hand side, about 35 yards out, almost parallel with the corner of the penalty area. Gross and Buonanotte standing over it. Dunk just making a run into the area. It's chipped in by Gross. Lewis Dunk's the target, and he's pushed away by Everson. It was goal bound. Good save from the new arrival at Stoke City, with Dunk getting his head to that Gross free kick. Brighton still have it. Right hand side, João Pedro gives it back to Gross in a similar position from where he took the free kick. Gives it back to João Pedro in the right wing. Early cross from Pedro into the box. Heads go up. Wesley flicks it half clear. Picked up by Jakob Moder down the left hand side of the box for Estupinian. Gets to the byline, pulls it back to the far post, and Everson, under pressure from Dunk, claims well, holds on to the ball, and he made an important save 30 seconds or so earlier to deny Lewis Dunk an equaliser. 1-0 Stoke.
Yeah, Lewis Dunk is complaining to Paul Tierney, the referee. He thinks that he was held back when he got his header in from Pascal Gross's free kick, and he just headed the ball down. He said it's a really, really good save from Everson low down to his left hand side, because if he doesn't palm it away, Evan Ferguson is just loitering in the 6-yard box. He gets a simple tap in. So that's the first real action that the Stoke City goalkeepers had to make, Dan. It's just a testament to his concentration levels, because he made exactly the right decision. So just palming it away with his left hand.
He made 12 Premier League appearances for Leicester, Daniel Everson. Had a full year at Preston North End before he went to Leicester. And Sammy Smodics has a first half hat-trick for Blackburn Rovers, who are back in front. Well, they're in front for the first time in actual fact against Cambridge United. What a half at Ewood. Blackburn 3, Cambridge 2. And Colchester get a goal back at Swindon in lead 2. Swindon 2, Colchester 1. Matt J. Cowley brothers in charge now at Colchester.
Yep, there was announced on Thursday. Danny Cowley taken over. I think it's a really good appointment actually from Colchester United.
It's a sensational appointment.
It's probably the best manager that they've had in the last maybe sort of 6 or 7 years. And proven obviously at the lower league level.
And his brother Nicky has gone with him, of course.
Well, they've come back to Essex. They started off at Concord Rangers, didn't they? And then
That's
Braintree
right.
Town.
That's right. But they're behind, but they have a goal back. Can Brighton Hove Albion get a goal back here as we approach half-time? We played 4 minutes of the minimum 6 that have been added on at the end of this first period. Stoke still a goal to the good through that own goal from Jan-Paul Van Hecke. Billy Gilmore in the Brighton midfield works it back to Lewis Dunk just by the centre circle. Stoke fans raising their voices, trying to get behind their players and making sure they can hold out at least until half-time. Van Hecke, come on, get into him, is the chant. I hear that a lot. That's an old school chant. Here's Buonanotte jinking away down the right hand side of the area. Couldn't get the better of Ben Wilmot, who stuck to his task really well and thumped it out for a throw in. Buonanotte taking his time to get back to his feet. That's why you can hear a few boos around the Bet365. The Stoke fans have decided what they think Buonanotte is in terms of whether he's play acting or not.
It was really good play from Ben Wilmot, because as Buonanotte tried to skip inside him, he made sure he got his body right across him. That enabled Valtberger, the Stoke City captain, to come and clear the ball away.
Now here's Hinshelwood, right hand side for Brighton, tosses the ball into the area, headed out by Wilmot, breaks for Pervis Estupinian, goes for goal! Oh, he scored another cracker! Pervis Estupinian has scored 2 extraordinary goals for Brighton in the space of the last couple of weeks, and that one brings them level from a similar place to where he scored at the Amex. He picks it up, edge of the area. This ball was in the air, and he's cracked it left-footed past Everson, who could barely smell it. It's an equaliser for Brighton right on half-time. Stoke 1, Brighton 1, Estepinian.
What a strike from Pervis Estepinian. As the ball's just cleared from Stoke City, Billy Gilmore makes sure he gets to the knockdown first. It comes to Estepinian, he takes the first touch with his left foot, the ball just sits up, he just smashes a left foot volley, puts his laces through the ball, gives Daniel Iverson in the Stoke City goal absolutely no chance whatsoever to put Brighton back level 1-1 here at the Bet365 Stadium. And I think Portini, the referee, is probably just about to blow the half-time whistle.
No, we're actually into that final few seconds, and yet it is purely down to Paul Tierney at this point to decide how much more we play on. So the Premier League side draw level right on the whistle. And here's Buonanotte trying to burst through a couple of challenges. Berger wins it back. And then the half-time whistle does go. So it was right on the whistle when Brighton of Albion of the Premier League got themselves back on terms in this third round FA Cup tie. They were behind to Championship Stoke just after the quarter-hour mark when Stoke won the ball high up the pitch. Byron Ho crossed from the byline, and Jan-Paul van Hekke could do nothing but turn the ball into his own net to put Stoke in front. And Stoke played well for large parts of that first half and pressed Brighton high up the pitch. But when it looked as though the Potters were going to go into the break, a goal to the good, up stepped Pervis Estepinian for his second cracking goal in the space of 10 days. A wonderful left-footed hit from the edge of the area, which flew past Daniel Iverson to bring us level. Great second half in store now at the Bet365 in this cup tie. Live on Talksport 2. It is Stoke City 1, Brighton of Albion 1.
Yeah, that livened things up there. Ian Danter with Perry Groves alongside him. Perry, Pervis Estepinian, I mean, he doesn't deal in goals that aren't spectacular, does he?
No, he just deals in worldies. And that was a worldie, to be fair, because Brighton were huffing and puffing, to be fair to Stoke. Their team shape's been really good. You know, they're playing their three centre-halves. Two midfield players, Lewis Baker and Wout Berger, have stopped Brighton from playing and getting in any rhythm. And Brighton was sort of scratching around. Their passing wasn't great. They was giving the ball away very, very cheaply. And then what Brighton did there, just before the half-time whistle blew, is as the ball was cleared out of the 18-yard box from Stoke, Billy Gilmore made sure that he got to the knockdown, and he just headed it to Pervis Estepinian, who's fully 25 yards out. And as the ball come across him, he let it go across his body, took his first touch with his left foot, just as the ball set up. He just made sure that he put his laces through it, and it just arced in like a rainbow shape, and he gave Daniel Iverson in the Stoke City goal absolutely no chance whatsoever. He just nested in the back of his net. And you have to say, probably 1-1's about right, John, because Brighton have dominated possession. They've had over 70% possession. But to be fair to Stoke City, when they've had possession, they've looked very, very lively and very threatening on the counter-attack.
Yeah, you can see what Steven Schumacher's been doing and the good work he's been putting in so far. What kind of things is he likely to be saying, do you think, with his character at half-time? Because he will have had to have changed his half-time team talk, or maybe would he even have to have changed his half-time team talk? Because, you know, that goal is something that came out of nowhere there, and obviously when you get a goal where, you know, the home fans are even clapping it because it was that spectacular, they have to respect the skill that was involved. You know, that's something that you can't account for. You just have to sort of continue with your game plan, I guess. Yeah,
John, I think there was a lot of hand movements from the Stoke City fans, but I don't think they're actually clapping the goal somehow, especially from the goal. I think there's more hands over their faces. But yeah, I think Steven Schumacher he'll be really pleased with the way that Stoke City have played, because, as I say, Brighton are normally very easy on the eye, they're normally free-flowing. Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore would expect to dominate the game. They've had the lion's share of possession, but they haven't ripped Stoke City apart. And obviously he's had to make a substitution with Lloris going off and McAnally's come in. So McAnally's gone into the right-sided centre-back, and Hove's come over to the right wing-back position. So he's had a little bit of change of personnel, but not in team shape. But I think he'll be really pleased with the way that his team have acquitted himself in this first half. You can see what he's trying to implement. You can see that he wants to play out from the back. There's been a few times where Michael Rose and Ben Wilmot have had the ball and they've drilled it into Lewis Baker into midfield, or they've bypassed him and gone into Wesley. Maybe Wesley can hold the ball up a little bit better for Stoke City. But as I say, Stoke have looked threatening, especially down the right-hand side. Unfortunately, the main threat, Mehdi Lloris, who was playing in that right wing-back position, who was getting in behind Estepinian a few times the first half, had to go off, obviously, with the concussion protocols. Yeah. But I think that Steven Schumacher would be fairly happy. He won't be obviously happy that obviously they've conceded the equaliser bang on half-time, but as an overall performance, talking about one of the top teams in the Premier League they're playing against, I think they've been very impressive in this first half.
Yeah, very positive indeed. Well, second half commentary will be coming up with Perry Groves and Ian Danta very soon, and then straight after that we go to Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea versus Preston. Joe Shannon will be our commentator there, and Joe joins me now. This is an interesting one here, but Chelsea really should be making this one look like an easy win, right?
Good afternoon, John. Yes, you'd expect that. And of course, a lot of incentive for Chelsea, given their position in the Premier League at the moment. 10th in the Premier League, and of course, a drift of 5th position by 11 points. 5th, the route into the Europa League. But for Maurizio Pochettino and Chelsea, well aware that winning the FA Cup could propel Chelsea into the Europa League next season and bring them European football again. That is very important for them, stressed Pochettino coming into the game. Their injury list is pretty lengthy, and Romeo Lavia not expected to be involved again today either. He's had a relapse after the issue that has set him back and has led to him making just one appearance since joining the club in the summer. Nkunku is expected to be in the squad, unlikely to start, so we're told. No Nicholas Jackson for Chelsea. He's headed off to AFCON with Senegal, so there'll be a little bit of a shuffling of the pack for Maurizio Pochettino, but Chelsea certainly in good form of late, and you would think we'll have too much for Preston North End, a Preston North End team who are 5 points off the playoffs in the Championship. Ryan Lowe's side not in good form of late at all, but the FA Cup is always a welcome respite if you're not doing particularly well in the league. Preston have a fine record in this competition, certainly in the early years of the FA Cup. They were winners in 1889 and in 1938 as well. So it's an opportunity for the 6,000 travelling fans at the shed end of Stamford Bridge to enjoy their day today. And Ryan Lowe was stressing in the build-up to the game, the players likewise. And those Preston North End players surveying the scene down below as we're sat up high up in the commentary gantry, and those Preston players in their green tracksuits just taking in the surroundings here at Stamford Bridge. Whatever happens, it'll be a great experience for them.
It will indeed. We look forward to it. Joe Shannon will be on commentary then for Chelsea versus Preston. One of those things with the FA Cup where 15% of the tickets have to go to the away fans. A lot of season ticket holders around the country a little bit annoyed they might have got moved to accommodate more fans. A few of my friends at Chelsea not very happy, but I've just said, look, you're going to get a different perspective on the game. Just look forward to that. That'll be live here on Talksport 2 at 5:30. Coming up, second half commentary in our game that kicked off at 3. It's Stoke 1, Brighton 1 at half-time.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the EFL.
The Emirates FA Cup live on Talksport 2 with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Get that Euro Millions feeling this Friday. 10 UK winners are guaranteed to be millionaires. That's 10 more reasons to dance. That's 10 more robots, 10 more limbos, 10 more salsas. 10 UK winners are guaranteed to be millionaires this Friday. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Play on app. Count terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
We've got savings to sink your toes into at the Carpetright half-price sale. Don't miss huge discounts on hundreds of carpets. Totally awesome. Sorry, we couldn't resist. With stores nationwide, you'll get your new floor right with Carpetright. At home, in-store, online. Excludes fitting and services. T's and C's apply.
Think January is bad in the UK? Here in Sweden, we get 4 hours of daylight and temperatures of -17. That's why, in January, we make things a little easier. So when you choose a Volvo XC40, you get a £4,000 contribution plus 0% APR. Pretty sure I remembered everything.
Anna, could you let me in? It's freezing out here.
Nearly everything. Order online or visit a Volvo retailer today.
50% minimum deposit, £4,000 contributed by Volvo. Finance provided by Volvo Car Financial Services UK Limited. Figure based on XC40 mild hybrid and varies by model. Terms apply.
Now January's forecast, starting cold and grey with outbreaks of boredom, before brightening up dramatically as Fryanuary rewards sweep across the country with Merlin annual passes, private cinema screenings and sun-soaked holidays for the whole family. The outlook is very nice indeed.
Brighten up January for your family with Fryanuary rewards from McDonald's. Earn points on fries for a chance to win epic family prizes. Sign up on the McDonald's app now. 18 plus. Purchase medium or large fries by 31st of January for an entry into prize draw. Maximum 28 entries. Only via app or participating restaurants. Terms apply.
Supermarket shoppers of Britain. It's Lidl's pick of the week. Super save up to 30% on selected fruit and veg. Like British curly kale, only 59p. 6 golden delicious apples for 99p. And a ready-to-eat avocado, just 49p. Plus more epic savings in store now. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability. Selected stores GB only.
Look at him go.
He's a quality striker.
No, not him. The electrician fixing those lights.
Wow. Is he?
Yes, he uses QuickBooks to prepare for self-assessment.
This is truly game-changing.
Use QuickBooks year-round to ensure your income tax return is shock-free. That's how you business differently. Intuit QuickBooks.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
Fired up and raring to go. Pushing the apex of live football. Game day.
The epicentre of world-class football coverage.
What a goal!
FA Cup Game Day Live.
On Talksport 2. This is Game Day. Half-time classifieds.
Yeah, this is Game Day Live here on Talksport 2. I'm John Jackson. Let's start in the FA Cup.
The Emirates FA Cup.
5 results from earlier on. Wimbledon 1, Ipswich 3, Coventry 6, Oxford United 2, Maidstone United 1, Stevenage 0, Millwall 2, Leicester 3 and Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3. Half-time score at Ewood Park. Blackburn 3, Cambridge United 2, Gillingham 0, Sheffield United 2, Hull City 0, Birmingham 1, Newport versus Eastleigh, that's goalless at half-time, Norwich 1, Bristol Rovers 1, Plymouth are 1-0 up against Sutton United, QPR 2-0 up at home to Bournemouth. Southampton are 1-0 up at home to Walsall. Our commentary game here with second half commentary beginning very soon. Stoke 1, Brighton 1, Watford 0, Chesterfield 1.
Sky Bet League 1.
A result from earlier bottom side Fleetwood 1, Derby County 3. It's goalless between Burton Albion and Wickham, also between Cheltenham and Portsmouth and Exeter and Carlisle, while Port Vale are drawing 1-1 with Charlton.
Sky Bet League 2.
It's goalless between Barrow and Tranmere. Bradford 0, Crawley 1 at half-time there. Mansfield are 1-0 down at home to Crewe. Salford City drawing 1-1 at half-time against Forest Green Rovers. And Swindon Town are 2-1 up against Colchester. Well, this is Game Day Live here on Talksport 2. 1-1 between Stoke City and Brighton at half-time. We've got second half commentary coming up in just a second, but let's take a look at the half-time highlights in partnership with Carling.
The Emirates FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport 2 with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
To the home of Championship Stoke City, taking on Premier League Brighton for the second year in a row. And away by Hove down the right-hand side of the box to the byline, across the face of goal, and he's turned into his own net for an own goal by Jan Paul van Hecker. Now here's Wesley giving chase for a ball floated across from the right-hand side. Onside, says the assistant. Wesley goes for goal, and it's only just the wrong side of the post from Wesley. Berger at to Lloris on the right wing, level with the edge of the area. Now it's just touched in field for Wouter Berger. The captain's going to go for it, and it's right at Bart for Bruggen. He held onto it well. Brighton tosses the ball into the area, headed out by Wilmot. Breaks for Pervis Estepinian. Goes for goal! Oh, he's got another cracker! Pervis Estepinian. Stoke 1, Brighton 1.
Well, that's the half-time highlights and our commentary. Stoke versus Brighton, all thanks to Carling.
The Emirates FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport 2 with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Well, we've got Chelsea versus Preston coming up at 5:30 here on Talksport 2, and we'll keep you across the score in the game between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. Mark Wilson's watching this one for us.
Yeah, intriguing FA Cup time, mid-table Championship side Borough taking on high-flying Premier League side Aston Villa. Huge week for Borough. We've got Chelsea on Tuesday night in the League Cup semi-final. That gives Michael Carrick something of a quandary. Will he go strong, or will he rest a few with that game in mind? For Villa, they're flying high in the Premier League and Europe. It'll be interesting what Unai Emery approaches this one, because Villa have not won any of their last 8 games in the competition They've only won once since they reached the final in 2015. They're without several key players, so we expect changes for Villa. At the Riverside, it's Middlesbrough against Aston Villa.
Thank you very much, Mark Wilson there. We'll keep you across that one, as I say, during Chelsea versus Preston. But we're all about the second half between Stoke and Brighton. 1-1 at half-time. Former Arsenal winger Perry Groves is alongside Ian Danta for second half commentary. And Perry, looking at the stats, and I love a stat from the past, Brighton have actually only won once in their last 18 visits here, and that was last year in the 5th round. So, that can work in Stoke's favour, I think, if you believe in that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, the stats and the lies, damn lies and statistics. And I think with these stats, from last season in the FA Cup 5th round, I think Evan Ferguson scored the winner, didn't he, when it was 1-0 here. But Stoke have also lost their last 8 FA Cup matches against Premier League opposition, so you can have a stat on one hand and it balances out obviously on the other. And that was when they beat Bolton 5-0 in the semi-final in 2011, obviously when they got through to the final.
Yeah.
But this game here is really, we love games, Dance, when there's a little bit of jeopardy in the game, because it's really well balanced, because I say Stoke are still a threat going forward. Brighton haven't been that sort of free-flowing Brighton that we've been used to, where the players' movement's very, very fluid. I think it's been a little bit bitty. They've given the ball away a little bit too cheaply. We're just looking, Brighton, I think Roberto De Zerbi might have had the hairdryer.
He sent them out early, John.
Exactly, yeah. So they've come out the starting blocks early, because he wouldn't have been very pleased with the way that they played in that first half, because, say, they were sloppy in possession.
He'll have sent them out before the buzzer.
And that's exactly what's happened. So they've come out of the grid a lot quicker than Steven Schumacher's Stoke City.
Okay, we'll get a jump on them. Let's see, maybe Andre Vidigal might come off the bench and be involved. He is Stoke's top scorer. Former Arsenal winger Perry Groves alongside Ian Danta right here, right now on Talksport 2. It's Stoke versus Brighton, the second half commentary.
He's done it to us twice now. He's used the background music to introduce us. Quite clever.
Yeah, very clever. He doesn't just throw this together,
Plymouth Argyle just been pegged back in the FA Cup by League Two Sutton United. That's 1-1 at Home Park. Lee Angol gets the equaliser for Sutton. And Solihull 2-0 up on Woking in the National League. And Perry Groves is just counting with his index finger to make sure there are no imminent changes. Doesn't appear that there are going to be, or is there? Because the fourth official is waiting down by the touchline. There is going to be a Stoke change, because they're going to bring on Andre Vidigal at the start of the second half, and he's going to come on for Michael Rose, who did pick up an injury in the first half. So, remains to be seen what they do tactically here, Stoke. Now they've brought on an attacking player for a centre-half. McNally will go into that back three, along with Wilmot and Hoover, and then Vidigal will go out to the right-hand side. And we're underway on Talksport 2 for the second half. Stoke in their red and white stripes are on the attack through Vidigal almost immediately down the right-hand side of the box, gets to the byline, beats his man, pulls it in front of goal. It's half clear, comes back to Vidigal to the right-hand corner of the box, where it's given back to him by Wesley. Strong start by Stoke at the start of this second period. Van Hecker hooks clear, somewhat panicked at the back for Brighton, and then it's brought away by Buonanotte. They've lost out again. Vidigal right in the action in these early stages since coming on. Down the right-hand side of the box, pulls it across the face of goal, and Hinshelwood is forced to head it behind for a corner kick to Stoke right at the start of the second half. 1-1.
You talk about make a name for yourself, an introduction from Vidigal, Dance, because he came on in front of us here in Stoke City's left-hand side, and he's run right over to the right-hand side into right wing-back position. He's got himself on the ball in the 18-yard box, done a couple of Michael Flatley foot-overs. He's actually just got to the byline. He's just tried to dink it up to the far post. And he said there was really good defending by Van Hecker at the far post. Put the ball out for corner for Stoke on their left-hand side.
So the corner kick for Stoke City, swung in right-footed by Baker, headed away at the near post by João Pedro. Daniel Johnson will retrieve, hooks it back out to this near touchline for Baker, who's right on the touchline about midway point of the Brighton half. Bournemouth get a goal back at QPR. 2-1 the score to QPR. Championship against Premier League. It's 1-1 here. Bai Jun-ho wins it back for Stoke. It's clipped down the left-hand side, trying to get Daniel Johnson in behind Hinshelwood. Only half cleared by Brighton. Haksabanovic shows great strength. but then runs into Hinshelwood, who stays on his feet well, wins the challenge, and João Pedro with quick feet tries to play the ball up to halfway, but it's intercepted by McNally. Now here's Hoover driving forward into the centre of the half, but then he's dispossessed by Ferguson, and Brighton will try and counter, but they're playing the ball around their own middle third of the pitch and just couldn't get players away quickly enough on the counter-attack. So Stoke have got most players back behind the ball now, 1-1.
Yeah, you mentioned about Stoke City's shape. McNally will play in the middle of the free centre half with Hoover to his right-hand side and Wilmot to his left, and then Vidigal goes out in that right wing-back position.
Here's Bai Jun-ho, infield to Wesley, who's in the centre of the Brighton half, lays it off to Hoover, he'll tuck it out to Vidigal on that right-hand side. Early cross to come from Vidigal, comes off the back of Estepinian, who brought Brighton level right on half-time. Cheltenham 1, Portsmouth 1 in League 1. Portsmouth were ahead, but only very briefly. Liam Sercombe equalises for the Robins. A yellow card has been issued for a foul by Jun-ho. So the South Korean, and I have seen a couple of South Korean flags being waved around the Bet365. He's clearly become something of an early favourite, the youngster, but he's got a yellow card off Paul Tierney.
Yeah, I think it's because he actually booted the ball away, Dan, because as he went to close down Estepinian, the ball bounced up. Paul Tierney, referee, gave handball, and Bai Jun-ho just larricked the ball. It was a proper avit, 50 yards.
It was. So Stoke have just conceded a free kick. Everson in goal, Wilmot, McNally and Hoover in a back three. And then you've got Vidigal, Baker, Johnson, Berger, Haksabanovic, Wesley, Bai Jun-ho. And then for Brighton, for Brooken the keeper, Hinshelwood, Van Hecke, Dunk, Estepinian, Gross, Gilmore, Buonanotte, Pedro, Moda and Ferguson. So it's Brighton's free kick, midway point of the Stoke half. Gross tries to chip it down the right-hand side of the box. He expected somebody to make a run into that right-hand side of the penalty area. Nobody in a green and black Brighton shirt did. Stoke have it back, 1-1.
Well, if it was the invisible man dance, because Pascal Gross is normally really good in possession. He just helped it into Brighton's inside right position, and you said there wasn't a Brighton player within 15-20 yards.
Pascal Gross is sort of reinvented as a defensive midfielder nowadays, setting up play from the back. Very effective at it as well, the German. Newport County take the lead against 10-man Eastleigh in the FA Cup. James Clark with the opener at Rodney Parade. Stoke coming forward at 1-1. Vidigal, very lively since coming on at the break. Slides it down the right side of the box for Hoover. Pulls it back. Oh, there were three running onto it, and they all left it for each other. Picked up, though, by Bai Jun-ho for Stoke. Left-hand corner of the box. It ricochets into the path of Berger. Now Haksabanovic. Quick turn from him. Runs through a couple of challenges. Wesley at the edge of the area. Tries to get the shot away. It's blocked by Dunk. And then João Pedro brings it away. He's caught by Hoover. Free kick to Brighton of Albion, but the pullback from Vidigal was perfect to the edge of the area, but they all got in one another's way, Perry Groves.
Yeah, it was brilliant play down that right-hand side with Bai Jun-ho and Vidigal. He just cut the ball back, and in the end it's Johnson who's coming from this left-hand side dance, and Stephen Schumacher wants his fullbacks to get themselves in the 18-yard box. Exactly what he's done, but then he's just run into Haksabanovic, and then both actually just jumped out the way and left it for each other. That was a fantastic opportunity for Stoke City to go 2-1 up.
Brighton had a great chance then as the ball was clipped over the top down the left-hand side for Ferguson to give chase, but McNally got a toe ending on it and turned it behind for a corner at the away end, the Coolwell construction stand as it's now known, where the Brighton fans are, and it'll be Pascal Gross to take this corner kick. Exeter 1, Carlisle 0 in League 1, also in League 1. Burton 1, Wickham 0 and Cheltenham 2, Portsmouth 1. Liam Sercombe with a second for Cheltenham at the completely Suzuki to turn it around against the leaders. Here's Gross playing the corner short to Estepinian, left-hand corner of the box, gives it back to Gross in space in the area, lobs it to the far post. Dunk, it's 2-1. Lewis Dunk, the captain, back in the side today, heads Brighton in front, and the Premier League side have come from behind. The short corner caught out Stoke City, and Gross with a very delicate cross to the far post was aching to be headed home, and Lewis Dunk duly obliged. 51 minutes gone. It's Stoke City 1, Brighton 2.
what are Stoke City doing, Dance? They were warned in the first half with Brighton playing that short corner. Said Pascal Gross is rolling it to Purvis Estepinian. He looks like he's going to cross it in with his left foot. He just puts it back to Pascal Gross. Pascal Gross gets himself to the byline. With his left foot, he dinks a beautiful ball up to the far post. Lewis Dunk rising like a salmon, just heading it basically into the empty net. Iverson tries to get across and just gets himself caught into the net. But that is all because Stoke City didn't react to the short corner, Dance. Really clever play from Brighton to put them 2-1 up.
Well, what more can you say about Lewis Dunk and his time at Brighton? Just signed an extension through to 2026. Lewis Dunk spent his whole career at Brighton except a brief loan at Bristol City over 10 years ago. 400 plus appearances, Mr. Brighton, and he's put them in front here, and they're coming forward again. The Seagulls down the left hand side. Jakob Moder level with the area, puts an early cross in. McNally clears it with his right, and Estepinian goes back to the halfway line to retrieve it. So 2-1 the score. They've turned it around, the Premier League side. Hartlepool lead Oxford City in the National League this afternoon. Tom Crawford puts Pools ahead. And it's the Brighton fans you can hear away to our right-hand side, saluting that goal scored right in front of them by their beloved skipper. As Buonanotte looks to release Hinshelwood down the right-hand side. Johnson's gone with him. Hinshelwood gets there first. Early cross over the head of Everson, but also over the head of everybody else in the penalty area. Ferguson scampers out to the far left-hand side by the corner flag to keep it in play. And then it's rolled back to Purvis Estepinian on halfway. Infield to Pascal Gross. Gross just leaves it for Estepinian, and now Lewis Dunk. So Stoke have got to think again under Stephen Schumacher. Had the lead, but now it's been turned around by Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton. Buonanotte turns in space on the halfway line, plays a through ball to Gross, who can run at the back line. Hinshelwood to his right, to his left is Ferguson inside the box, goes down under pressure from McNally, but no penalty, says Paul Tierney, and the ball's back in the arms of the Stoke goalkeeper Everson. 2-1 Brighton.
It's a really good recovery tackle from McNally, because it looked like Evan Ferguson was going to be in on goal. Really good play from Pascal Gross, just a little ball inside with his right foot. Evan Ferguson really should be getting the ball out from underneath his feet. That gave McNally the chances to get himself back and toe poke the ball away. And good refereeing from Paul Tierney, Dance. He was only like 5 yards away from the action. Just wave play on.
Brighton have the ball in the centre circle with Jakob Moder. Leaves it for Estepinian. So 2 defenders on the score sheet today for the Seagulls so far.
Would you think it was fair to say that the Brighton and the Hove Albion players might have had a flea in their ear at half-time?
Quite possibly.
They were out early, wasn't they? He said, right, get out there, and impose yourself on the game. Their passing has been a lot quicker.
Oh, lovely ball from Buonanotte. Moder inside the area, left-hand side, superb interception from Vidigal. When it looked like Jakob Moder was about to pull the trigger at the corner of the 6-yard box, Vidigal got back and turned it behind for a Brighton corner kick. 2-1.
Yeah, it was a great little ball from Buonanotte. Vidigal switched off in that right wing-back position. Moder should be getting the ball again from out underneath his feet. That gave Vidigal the chance to get himself back, and just as he's going to volley at Moder, Vidigal just toe pokes it away from him for a corner for Brighton over on their left-hand side.
2-1 Brighton lead. Southampton 2-0 up on Walsall in the FA Cup. Sekou Mara. Pascal Gross with another short corner. Again, he uses Estepinian at the left-hand corner of the box. He comes infield. Right-footed effort straight at Everson, who holds onto it well right in front of his goal line and bowls it out underarm to set Stoke away on an attempted counter-attack. Wouter Berger looks for Bai Jun-ho down the left-hand side, but Hinshelwood back defending, covers well, and Brighton have it back in their possession in their own half. 2-1 Brighton lead on Talksport 2.
Yeah, that was once bitten, twice shy there, wasn't it, from Stoke City? He said Pascal Gross trying to work the same short corner. This time it was Haksmanovic who was left 2v1 last time, and it just made sure that Johnson ran out and made it a 2v2, and that made sure that Pascal Gross couldn't get the ball into the box. Estepinian got his shot away. Simple save from Everson.
QPR 2, Bournemouth 2 in the FA Cup. Kiefer Moore, ball given away by Verbruggen off the back of Wesley. Stoke can't profit from it, at least initially, but the ball's won back by Kiana Hoover. Vidigal, inside right position, finds Haksabanovic, thinks about sending the ball into the box, tries to roll it back to the edge of the area, won't find Bai Jun-ho. Real scrappy possession play, but Stoke have lost it. Then they try and win it back, and then Joao Pedro shows great silky skills to get away down the left-hand side, but eventually he runs out of room and Stoke have themselves a free kick, and Brighton are now making a double change down beneath us. Adam Webster and Danny Welbeck are coming on. Facundo Buonanotte is the first player to come off, and he's the one that's been getting the bird from most of the Brighton fans. And Jakob Moder, who they're still really nursing back to full fitness. He had over a year out with an ACL injury, the Pole, and he's had a good hour of action this afternoon, and he's coming off. So Welbeck and Webster, a striker and a defender, coming on for Brighton and Hove Albion, who lead 2-1 here.
Yeah, Moder playing down that left-hand side. He had a fantastic chance a couple of minutes ago to put Brighton 3-1 up.
There's a change for Stoke as well. And just seeing who's coming off, it is Sead Haksabanovic who's coming off, and Ryan Mai, the Moroccan, is coming on to replace him. Slightly more direct forward. Haksabanovic just a little shorter. Mai a more imposing physical presence. He's coming on then to bolster the Stoke front line alongside Wesley. But it's Stoke 1, Brighton 2. 57 minutes gone on Talksport 2. We've got Chelsea against Preston to come live next here on Talksport 2 with Joe Shannon and Scott Minto, your commentary team, and we'll get team news from Joe within the next 10 minutes from Stamford Bridge ahead of that cup tie, whilst the game day phone-in is live on Talksport at the same time with Gabby Agbonlahor and Jamie O'Hara. Brighton coming forward with Evan Ferguson down the right-hand side of the Stoke box. Threads it infield to Gross, plays a lovely 1-2 with Welbeck and wins a corner off Lewis Baker. So close to a third for Brighton.
Yeah, brilliant link-up play on Brighton's right-hand side. There, Evan Ferguson just cutting the ball back for Pascal Gross, playing a little give and go with Danny Welbeck. Great little wall pass from Danny Welbeck. Pascal Gross is trying to get his cross in. In the end, it was good defending from Stoke City at their near post. Corner for Brighton on their right-hand side.
Right in front of the Brighton fans at the away end to our right. And it is Pascal Gross to take it. Right-footed, drills it into the 6-yard line. Flicked away by Daniel Johnson. Came back to Estepinian. Shoot was the cry from the Brighton fans. I'm not surprised. Gross gets the ball sent out to him on this near side. The Brighton right. He's up against Daniel Johnson trying to trick him. Eventually he lays it off for Gilmour. And Gilmour goes back to Adam Webster for his first involvement since coming on as a substitute. Estepinian driving forward again. They say shoot to him. He looks instead to play a 1-2 with Welbeck. He tries another 1-2 there, Danny Welbeck. This time it didn't come off, but it's just deflected into the arms of Daniel Everson. Stoke 1, Brighton 2. We played nearly an hour at the Bet365.
Yeah, just looking at Brighton's point of view, just changed their team shape, going with the 3 centre-halves. Webster on the left-hand side of Lewis Duncan, Van Hecker on the right-hand side.
Well, one back by Van Hecker and then overhit by João Pedro. He was looking for Danny Welbeck, who was at the edge of the area right-hand side, but I don't know what João Pedro was trying to do. He gave it the hammer and went flying past Danny Welbeck. He was never going to collect that.
Yeah, just overhit there from João Pedro. Overclubbed, I think we'd say, Dan.
That's definitely the phrase.
Should have been maybe a little sort of chipped little 9-iron,
yeah.
And he just
little
smashed in exactly, just smashed a 2-iron into him.
Wesley goes down, no foul, says Paul Tierney, and we play on. Brighton 2-1 up. We played an hour here in Staffordshire. Out to the left-hand side, Estepinian, ever willing, up against Hoover down that far right-hand side, but Hoover sticks to his task well, wins it back for Stoke, plays it into the feet of Mai, who's just ahead of his own penalty area. Bai Jun-ho gives it back to Mai. Lovely ball from the South Korean. Mai lets it run across his body. Finds Vidigal out on the right wing. 3 forward in support for Stoke. Vidigal into the area, pulls it across the face of goal. It's cleared away by Gross, who was back defending, but it breaks for Lewis Baker. Baker out to the right-hand side and Vidigal. Back to Baker at the edge of the area. Just lays it off for Wouter Berger. Takes a shot, left-footed. Great save by Verbruggen. Palms it away for a corner kick. Sweet hit from Wouter Berger. And Verbruggen turning behind for a corner kick to Stoke. 2-1 Brighton lead.
Really good play from Stoke on the right-hand side. Vidigal involved again, just trying to pull the ball back to Wouter Berger. Mai just rolls it to Wouter Berger. I thought it had gone too far behind him, Dance, with his left foot. He just gets his left foot around it and just tries to curl it low down to Verbruggen's right-hand side. Really good save, full length from Verbruggen. Just pushed the ball away for a corner for Stoke on their left.
Baker takes it deep to the far post. McNally tries to head it across the face of goal. Clenched for handball. Penalty!
Stoke City have a penalty, handball given by Paul Tierney. The Brighton players surround the referee, but his decision is clear and final, and it's a penalty kick to Stoke City at the Bootham end. And now it's a question of who takes it. There's a right old conversation about who's going to take this penalty, but handball it was, Perry Groves.
Yep, just looking as the ball comes in from the corner, just headed in, and it just looked like it's Lewis Dunk.
Yep.
As he's gone up for the ball, he's headed back across him, and his arm is away from his body. To be fair to Paul Tierney, McAnally gets the head up. Paul Tierney gave himself a little bit of time, and he had a clear view of it down. So he's looking right down the corridor. You have to say, I think it's a penalty. Lewis Dunk has been unlucky because obviously he's not facing the ball, but as he's jumped, his right arm is away from his body, and Paul Tierney's given a penalty.
And Daniel Johnson has now left it for Lewis Baker. Used to seeing Daniel Johnson taking penalties. He did a lot when he was at Preston, but he's left responsibility for this penalty to Lewis Baker to bring Stoke City level in this cup tie. Verbruggen jigging up and down on his goal line. Up steps Baker, right-footed, and scores at the Bootham end. It's 2-2 in the cup tie. It's not done yet here at the Bet365. The Championship side have not given up, and Lewis Baker draws them level from the spot. Stoke 2, Brighton 2.
There was absolutely no hesitation there from Lewis Baker. With his right foot, he's drilled it low down to Verbruggen's right-hand side. Just he's looking at the goalkeeper. He's actually took responsibility, because sometimes the players wait for the goalkeeper to move or make the first sort of movement to the left or right. Lewis Baker didn't worry about that. He just ran up to him, smashed it with his right foot, gave Verbruggen absolutely no chance. Stoke City 2, Brighton have Albion 2.
Really firm hit from Lewis Baker, once of Chelsea. And that is his first goal of the season. Joined in January of last year, but he's brought them level. And now the noise level's gone up a bit inside the Bet365 stadium. 63 minutes gone on Talksport 2. Stoke 2, Brighton 2. So Lewis Dunk goes from hero to villain in the space of just a few minutes, heading Brighton in front before conceding the spot kick. Port Vale 2, Charlton 2 in one of the League One games this afternoon. Down the left-hand side of the box comes Estepinian for Brighton, and Baker, who's just equalised for Stoke, puts it out for a throw. Taken quickly. Blackburn 4, Cambridge 2. Anor Sigurdsson for Blackburn. Elsewhere, Plymouth 2, Sutton 1, Ryan Hardy with a penalty. Burton 1, Wickham 1, Sam Vokes equalises for Wickham. And here at the Bet365, it's 2-2. Southampton had just gone 3-0 up on Walsall. A second of the afternoon for Ryan Fraser at St Mary's. Brighton coming forward. Pascal Gross flicks into the area. Hinshelwood's in space down the right-hand side of the box, but the offside flag goes up against him before he could get the shot away. He's already notched a couple of goals, young Jack Hinshelwood. And Gross, who was in acres of space around the edge of the area, tried to flick it into his path, but the flag went up. Free kick to Stoke City, 2-2.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball from Billy Gilmore, picking up in the left half position, just cross-field. Pascal Gross getting himself beyond Ferguson, and I think with Jack Hinshelwood dancing, he was a little bit too eager. He's just got to make sure that he holds his run, because he's looking right across the line. In the end, it was a simple decision for the assistant down here below us on by the technical areas, because, say, Jack Hinshelwood was a good 2 yards offside.
Good work from Billy Gilmore for Brighton. Plays the ball out left-hand side to Estepinian, who cuts inside. Vidigal moves into the centre of the half. Square ball in field for Pascal Gross. Gross thought about going for goal. Baijun Ho got it in front of him. Welbeck, though, first onto the scene to chase after the loose ball down to the corner flag. Stoke 2, Brighton 2 on Talksport 2 in the FA Cup. If you're just tuning in, we've got Chelsea Preston coming up at 5:30. So an hour from now, we'll be off to Stamford Bridge with Joe Shannon and Scott Minto for Premier League against Championship, as it is here. And it's the Championship side who've drawn level through Lewis Baker from the penalty spot as Gilmore for Brighton at the edge of the centre circle drills the ball out left, looking for the run of Estepinian, but it's overhit and Stoke will have a throw. You're listening to Stoke 2, Brighton 2 in the FA Cup on Talksport 2 with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. It's 18+. Please drink
responsibly. Perry Groves is alongside me for the afternoon.
Yeah, that was a brilliant time for Stoke City to equalise, Dance, because it just looked like Brighton was starting to impose themselves on the game. Obviously going 2-1 up from Lewis Dunk's header from Pascal Gross's cross. And I have to say, offensively on that right-hand side, Vidigal for Stoke has made a massive difference.
Gross finds Ferguson, tries to lay it off for Danny Welbeck. And he's won it eventually. Vatterberger didn't know where the ball was at first. Gross, lovely curling ball into the box. Estepinian is offside this time. João Pedro's driven it wide. And another free kick goes Stoke City's way. They've turned it around of Bournemouth at Loftus Road. They were 2-0 down at QPR Bournemouth, but they're now 3-2 up. Justin Kluivert gets the third goal for Bournemouth in the FA Cup third round on a busy weekend of action. This is one of 9 live FA Cup ties that we're bringing you across our network. We've got more tomorrow and of course Monday night. What a great game in prospect at the DW Stadium. Wigan against Manchester United. But tomorrow, Manchester City Huddersfield on Talksport at 2 o'clock with Jim Proudfoot and Tash Dowie, the former England women's striker. And then our exclusive commentary at 4:30, Arsenal against Liverpool. Adrian will be there along with Joe Shannon and Stuart Pearce, your commentary team at the Emirates Stadium. You won't hear that anywhere else on national radio, Arsenal-Liverpool, tomorrow. 2-2 here. Brighton in possession inside their own half with Jack Hinshelwood right next to his manager Roberto De Zerbi, who stands hands in pockets to the edge of his technical area. Welbeck can turn and move into the Stoke half from the centre circle. Drifts out to the left-hand side and finds Estepinian up against Vidigal. Gives it back to Danny Welbeck at the left-hand corner of the box. Gilmour out to the left once more for Estepinian. Gilmour receives it back. Van Hecker in a bit of space in the centre of the half. So too is Adam Webster. Webster puts his foot on the ball and looks for an option. Gives it just to his right for Pascal Gross. Up for Ferguson to the edge of the area, but they were too intricate there, Brighton, and Stoke won it back. As Forest Green take the lead at Salford City in League 2. Troy Deeney, has he won yet at Forest Green? I'm not sure that he has, but they're 2-1 up. Matt Stevens puts them ahead of the Peninsula. 2-2 here at the Bet365, and just over 20 minutes to go, Perry Groves.
Yeah, just a little bit all too condensed there when Brighton are in possession, but they've just changed their shape. They've gone like a 5-3-2 formation. Danny Welbeck up front with Evan Ferguson, but Danny Welbeck's been given the licence, Dance, just to come a little bit deeper, just see if he can cause a few problems for the Stoke back five. And João Pedro's just gone over to the left-hand side of midfield. But as with Brighton, it's very, very fluid, you know, with the players. They don't just stay in one position. And say they just started to assert some control over Stoke City. So the penalty came at exactly right time for Stoke because the game's
Baijun Hove finds Mai. Ryan Mai in the centre of the half. He has it taken off his toe. And Baijun Hove is very nearly onto the loose ball, but away come Brighton and Hove Albion. Pascal Gross looks early for Ferguson from this near touchline. It's intercepted by Hoover. Onto the halfway line where Estepinian is strong and wins the header under the attentions of Hoover. And now he has it back down the left wing. Purvis Estepinian, first time cross, volley cleared by McNally for Stoke. Only as far as Billy Gilmour. Gilmour drifts into the centre of the half, finds Gross at the edge of the area. Quick feet from the German, gets his shot away and it's blocked by Baijun Hove. But he'll get it back again, right-hand corner of the area. Cross from Gross, header goalwards, it's in! João Pedro! Brighton are back in front. Pascal Gross, the creator once again. The right-footed ball found João Pedro running in on 6 yards, and he planted a firm header past Everson into the corner of the net. And João Pedro restores Brighton's advantage with 20 minutes left. Stoke 2, Brighton 3. Brilliant cup tie.
Dance, it's that man Pascal Gross again, just weaving his magic on the edge of the 18-yard box. Just the ball comes from Paul Van Hecker. It's just a great little dink from this right-hand side. João Pedro coming in late from Brighton's left-hand side. It's a fantastic header from 12 yards. Gave Everson absolutely no chance. Low down to his right-hand side. Said it's that man Pascal Gross. That's his second assist of the day. You said we're witnessing a fantastic cup tie in front of our eyes here, Dance. Brighton and Hove Albion go 3-2 up against Stoke City here at the Bet365.
Yeah, and João Pedro's the top scorer in the Premier League, and he's been notching goals in the Europa League as well. Been superb in Europe. 7 in the Premier League. Now he's on the score sheet in a different competition at a crucial stage in the game with just less than 20 minutes to go. Stoke had drawn themselves level with that penalty kick. But now Brighton are back in front. Ryan Mai just over the halfway line. Stoke try and attack again. Vidigal sets Hoover away down the right-hand side. Puts the cross into the near post. It almost found Wesley, but it was brilliantly cleared at the near post by Lewis Dunk. But Lewis Baker wins it back for Stoke. Finds Hoover, and now Vidigal. Right-hand corner of the penalty area. Baker goes on the overlap. Vidigal doesn't use him, goes in field, finds Wouter Berger, thought about a drive, he tried to slot it into Ryan Mai inside the area. All hands to the pump for Brighton and Hove Albion, but they've got it clear. Watford have equalised against Chesterfield. Mijeta Rajovic makes it 1-1 at Vicarage Road against the National League leaders. 72 minutes gone. Stoke in possession. We're off to Stamford Bridge in a moment for team news from our next commentary live here on Talksport 2. But here's Baijun Ho onside down the right hand side of the area, gets to the byline, pulls it across, and it's claimed at the near post by the goalkeeper for Bruggen. So let's get that team news. Premier League against Championship at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea Preston. Joe Shannon's got the details.
4 changes for Chelsea, including a full debut for young Alfie Gilchrist. Enzo Fernandez, Sterling and Mudryk also come back in. 2 changes for Preston North End. Osmajic and Keane for Frockyar and Evans.
Thank you, Joe. Scott Minto will be alongside Joe, and John Jackson will be your host once again. We'll be straight to Stamford Bridge at the conclusion of this commentary, which still has 17 minutes to go, plus whatever Paul Tierney wants to add on for stoppages. Stoke 2, Brighton 3. Oh, lovely touch from João Pedro on the halfway line to scamper away. 3-on-2 for just a moment. Ferguson waiting for a cross. Pedro tries to slip it through to him, but he didn't put enough on the pass, and Stoke got it clear. And then there was a push on a Stoke player, and it's a throw in to Stoke on the far side. But the skill again from João Pedro was a delight to watch, Perry Groves.
Yeah, just in tight situations, he's very, very good. He's got very quick feet. This time it was over on Brighton's left-hand side, got himself away. Then he's got to get his head up and see if he can roll the ball into Evan Ferguson. Ends up hitting the first defender.
Well, Nathan Lowe is coming on to replace Wesley, and Daniel Johnson also coming off to allow Liam McCarron to replace him. So a couple of youngsters from the Stoke Academy being thrown into battle here with less than, well, almost a quarter of an hour to go here on Talksport 2. Nathan Lowe is a striker. He's a Stoke City Academy graduate, England under-19. So we'll see what he can do alongside Ryan Mai. Here he is getting involved down the left-hand side. Tries to nutmeg Lewis Dunk. McCarron's a left wing-back. Liam McCarron has just come on as well. Started his career at Carlisle United and came to Stoke in June of 2022. I was going to say last year, but I've got to be careful now. Now it's 2024. His stats go all out of whack. Newport 1, Eastleigh 1. Eastleigh down to 10 men, but they're level in the FA Cup at Rodney Parade through a penalty scored by Chris Maguire. Southampton 4-0 up on Walsall. Che Adams with the 4th goal. Southend 2, FC Halifax Town 0 in the National League. And here at the Bet365, less than quarter of an hour to play. Ian Danter and Perry Groves with you. It is Stoke City 2, Brighton 3. But Brighton are not a team that are just going to sit back and play 6-4-0 and hang on to a 3-2 scoreline. They want to play all the time.
Yeah, it's not in their DNA, Dance. So the game just started to get a little bit more spread out, which is going to suit Brighton. Obviously, players with a Premier League quality that have. Pascal Gross has been really influential in this second half.
Estepinian pushing in field to the halfway line. João Pedro out on the left wing, receives it now, but he's closed down by Vidigal. Bradford 2, Crawley 1. Bradford have come from behind to lead in League 2. At Valley Parade, it's an own goal from Corey Adai that's put Bradford ahead. Hartlepool 2, Oxford City 1 in the National League.
Which is looking at Stoke City, Dance. Obviously still playing there. 5 at the back. McLaren's come in this left wing back position. Baijun Ho's just a little bit in front of him, probably 10 yards, playing on this sort of wide left.
Collecting the ball now is Wouter Berger. Finds Baijun Ho on the halfway line. McCarron had started to make a a run but wasn't used. Instead, Ben Wilmot fires the ball from left to right, looking for Vidigal. Good header in field from Pervis Estepinian. Very calmly finds João Pedro. And now they're just knocking the ball around on the halfway line, Brighton. 14 minutes to go, 3-2 Brighton lead. Back it goes to Lewis Dunk, the captain. Welbeck comes deep to knock it back to Adam Webster. Welbeck again inside his own half. Quite happy to get involved way down the pitch to help set play up for his team. Pascal Gross looks for Hinshelwood on this near touchline, trying to roll McCarron, but credit the youngster who's done well there, and he fires it back just to find his keeper. It was so nearly intercepted by Evan Ferguson there. 3-2 Brighton.
I think we could hear McCarron's sigh of relief there, because he did brilliantly taking it off of Jack Hinshelwood, and then he just rolled it back to Iverson, and I think it was 6 inches in front of Evan Ferguson's right big toe.
Yeah.
If he gets a touch to it, he's in on goal. To be fair to Stoke, they're still just trying to play it out from the back.
Although a longer ball this time from goalkeeper Everson up to halfway. It's well chested down by Ryan May into McCarron's path, and he's won a throw off Dunk, who's put it out of play. Blackburn 5, Cambridge 2. Harry Leonard with the 5th for Blackburn. There was a first half hat-trick for Sammy Schmodics there. Throw in for Stoke City, right next to where Roberto De Zerbi is standing at the edge of his technical area, just over the halfway line. McCarron throws it back in for Wilmot. Now McNally finds Hoover inside his own half. Vidigal has come just inside his own half, but it's worked back to the keeper Everson, who again may well clear it long, but no, he plays it short to Wouter Berger, who's come to the edge of the D. Keeps the ball away from Pascal Gross, tried to thread it up to Lowe on halfway, but he was well watched by Webster. 3 big guys at the back now for Brighton in Van Hecke, Dunk and Webster, to help protect this 3-2 scoreline that they've got here. Here's a touch from Webster, and Billy Gilmore suddenly driving through the centre circle, tries to play it to Hinshelwood, who collides with McCarron and was looking for a free kick, and that was a little ambitious of Jack Hinshelwood, I must say.
Yeah, it was good defending by McCarron, to be fair, because Billy Gilmore just tried to roll the ball inside him. Jack Hinshelwood was going on the overlap, and to be fair to McCarron, he made sure he went with the run, just changed his run from straight to diagonal, made sure that Hinshelwood couldn't get inside him. Just looking at Brighton, Danny Welbeck's come on and he's looked so assured, isn't he? Like, he's playing up front with Evan Ferguson, but he's got the licence to come and drop in that 10 position. And then every time the ball's come into him, he's either got himself on the half turn and made sure he's played it out to Pascal Gross or into Evan Ferguson. And we're looking at Danny Welbeck now, Brighton trying to play it out, and he's actually come a good 15 yards into his own half, because he's become the link-up player.
He was a worthy England international for me. And here comes Jan-Paul Van Hecke on a stride forward for Brighton. Across the face of goal, Pedro! That's it! Brighton are in the 4th round for sure now. João Pedro has his 2nd of the game, but he owes it all to a long busting run forward by Jan-Paul Van Hecke, who atones for his own goal that started off the scoring by assisting Brighton's 4th. Great run from the centre half, all the way from deep inside his own half, then played a 1-2, got away to the right-hand corner of the box, swept it across the face of goal, and sliding in, João Pedro gets his 2nd, Brighton's 4th, 10 to go, Stoke 2, Brighton 4.
Dance, if there's a goal that epitomises the way that Brighton Hove Albion play their football, that was it, because Van Hecke picked the ball up on the halfway line, then just rolled it out to Pascal Gross. Pascal Gross just played a first-time pass. Van Hecke was the one who made the underlap, very much like Chris Wilder's Sheffield United, when the centre halves used to go, in the inside, right and inside left positions. Van Hecke just carries on his run all the way into the 18-yard box. Then as a centre half, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to pick out the right pass and make sure the weight of the cross is perfect? Exactly what it is. All he does is just rolls it into the space in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. João Pedro coming in from that left-hand side, just stretching with his right foot, and then he just bobbles over Iverson into Stoke City's net. As you said, Dan, that's game done and dusted now. Stoke City 2, Brighton Hove Albion 4.
10 to go, in fact 9 to go on Talksport 2. Adam Lallana's going to come on in a moment for Brighton to help protect what they have. So they're going to win again here at the Bet365 as they did last year. And they're coming forward again with Danny Welbeck powering into the area, tries to get the shot away. It's blocked by McNally and behind for a corner kick. Brighton really have their tails up now and they don't want to stop at 4, it seems. Carlos Baleba is going to come on as well, so a double change for Brighton once play goes dead next. It is a corner kick. They're not going to make the substitutions quite yet. Very specific instructions being given by Roberto De Zerbi to Carlos Baleba before he comes in. In fact, they are going to make the changes now. And João Pedro, who's scored a brace this afternoon and been superb, some lovely silky touches as well as the goals. He's becoming more and more important for Brighton as the weeks go on. He's the first player being withdrawn, and the other player coming off is the skipper, Lewis Dunk.
To be fair, Dan, with João Pedro, I think he's actually more influential when he moved out slightly to the left-hand side. Because in the first half he was playing in the 10 behind Evan Ferguson. Brighton changed their shape. Danny Welbeck came on. He went obviously close to Evan Ferguson. That meant that João Pedro went out to the left with Billy Gilmore and Pascal Gross in midfield. And he's got his 2 goals coming in from the left-hand side. The first, a header, which gave Iverson absolutely no chance. The second, where he comes sliding in for a brilliant cross from Van Hecker.
Sol Sidibe going to come on as well, son of Mamadi Sidibe, a bit of a legend in the Potteries. But Brighton have a corner. Pascal Gross tries to win another corner off McCarron, who defended it well and prevented another corner kick, but it is a throw to Brighton by the corner flag on this near side. It's going to be left by Billy Gilmore for Pascal Gross to take, and he's grown in influence, Gross, as the game has gone on. Some lovely passing from the German. Brighton 4-2 up, 7 minutes to go. Gross has it 10 yards from the corner flag, right hand side. Lovely skill to get away from Berger, goes to ground, he was pushed, free kick, and Brighton will take the free kick in a minute. Well, it's been given by the assistant. Yeah, they are now going to give the free kick. I thought for a moment Stoke were going to try and take a goal kick there, but it is definitely a free kick won by Pascal Gross. So Sidibe will have to wait for a moment before he's introduced. Portin has got the old shaving foam out and he's going to mark out the 10 yards, and that means the Stoke players will have to stand just inside the penalty area. This is almost like a short corner near to the byline, right hand side. Hull City equalise against Birmingham. That's 1-1. Matty Jacob for the Tigers. Gross with the free kick for Brighton, holds aloft his right arm, chips the ball into the near post, and it's headed over by Welbeck. Some real power on that header, but he got right underneath it. So it's a goal kick to Stoke, and here comes the change. And Lewis Baker, who gave Stoke hope with that penalty to make it 2-2, he's been taken off, and Sol Sidibe, the son of Mamadi Sidibe, is going to come on, having come through the academy, and that's nice. Like father, like son, wearing the red and white stripes.
Yeah, just 16 years of age, isn't he, Sol Sidibe?
Brighton trying to win the ball back high up the pitch. Lallana getting involved, but it's thumped downfield by McNally, looking for Vidigal. Bounces around the halfway line. Welbeck again has come deep to pick up possession. Out muscling Vidigal. He's still got it. Has he, Welbeck? No, he has lost out in the end, and it's tucked back to be cleared, but only half cleared. Purvis Estepinian wriggling away down the left-hand side. He gets away from Vidigal for a moment. Toe pokes the ball in field to Welbeck, and he sends it out to Lallana. And Brighton have got some very experienced heads out there for these last 5 minutes of normal time to see this result out. Gilmore finds Gross on halfway. Now it's just tucked in field by Lallana, bringing all his experience to bear. Baleba in the centre circle, just turns away from Baijun-Ho. Hinshelwood finds Gilmore. Lovely 1 and 2 touch passing from Brighton, just enticing Stoke in and then just keeping the ball away from them.
Yeah, I think what's happened is because Stoke City Dance put so much into that first 65 minutes, the closing down, high energy, and they made a game of it, to be fair, because Brighton weren't free-flowing in the first half, but then just as they started tiring a little bit, they couldn't quite get that extra yard to go and close down. I mentioned about Pascal Gross becoming more influential for Brighton's point of view, and also Danny Welbeck just coming and linking play up. So as the game got more stretched, it suited Brighton, obviously, with their Premier League quality.
Plymouth 3, Sutton 1 in the FA Cup, so the Pilgrims are heading through to round 4. Stoke coming forward, looking for Baijun-Ho, right down by the dead ball line on this near side, juggles with it and keeps possession. He's got support from McCarron, who rolls it back to Wouter Berger. Berger finds Baijun-Ho, left-hand corner of the area. Goes down under pressure from Hinshelwood. No foul, says the referee. Brighton have it back. Ferguson coming deep. Plays a little 1-2 with Gilmore, and then strokes it out to this near touchline and Pascal Gross. And Gross, well, he's been superb all afternoon, and he's just hit a delicious crossfield pass from right to left to pick out Estepinian. Now Welbeck out on the far left-hand touchline, just calms things down for a moment. Now Van Hecker, who's set up João Pedro just a moment ago for that lovely goal. Now ball over the top for Welbeck. He's in behind. Everson stayed at home. Welbeck sees his shot blocked by the new keeper, and he keeps the score down. Welbeck looked favourite there for a moment, but credit Daniel Everson. He blocked the shot well to keep it 4-2 to Brighton.
Yeah, I think Danny Welbeck got himself caught in a couple of minds there, Dan. It's a brilliant ball from Billy Gilmore in the centre circle. Just a great lofted pass. Freed Danny Welbeck. As the ball bounced out, I thought he was going to hit it first time and just lob it over Everson, but he decided to take a touch. They said that Everson got a chance to get closer to him, spread himself, Peter Schmeichel, like the big starfish, and made sure he saved it with his left foot.
More live football to come straight after this game on Talksport 2. We'll be off to Stamford Bridge with Joe Shannon and the former Chelsea fullback Scott Minto as Chelsea take on Preston North End. But we've still got a couple of minutes of normal time plus stoppages to play here in the Potteries, where it is Stoke 2, Brighton 4. Been a terrific cup tie, lots of ebb and flow. Back it goes to Van Hecker. Now Lallana just lays it off neatly to Billy Gilmore, and he looks out left for Estepinian. Now Webster gets the ball on halfway, slightly awkward first touch, but he kept possession. Gillingham 0, Sheffield United 4 is a full-time score. So Sheffield United making light of what looked, on the face of it, a tricky trip to Kent. So Chris Wilder will be very happy with that at the Priestfield. Hinshelwood finds Van Hecker just in front of the penalty area. Oh, lovely ball threaded to Lallana. Lallana can carry the ball over halfway, looks to play a 1-2 with Ferguson, then plays it out right to the ever-willing Pascal Gross. Gross down the right-hand side of the box. Lallana won't quite get there. Oh, yes, he will, because it was given to him, presented to him on a plate by Luke McNally.
Thought pantomime scene was over, wasn't it?
No, that still runs into the second week in January. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Hey. Back it goes to Van Hecker on halfway. Baleba lays it off to Gilmore. Lovely ball through the middle. Estepinian chested it down, but he's offside, says the assistant on the near side to us. So Stoke have themselves a free kick. We're in the last minute of normal time. Brighton won here last year in round 5 through a goal from Evan Ferguson. We've had 6 goals here this afternoon and a cracking cup tie. Great entertainment. It's been kids for a quid this afternoon as well for Stoke youngsters, some of whom might be getting their first taste of football. Lots of fun. Salford equalise against Forest Green in League 2. That's 2-2 at the Peninsula. Ryan Watson with a late penalty. I think there was a red card for Forest Green in there as well. Heading towards added time here at the Bet365, and a couple of changes being readied. Cameron Perpignan and Jack Hinchy are going to come on for Brighton for these last few minutes of added time. 6 minutes that we're into now between Brighton and round 4 of the FA Cup. Here is Baleba on as a substitute a little earlier, playing a couple of 1-2s with Hinshelwood. They got a bit lazy there and almost allowed Bajan Ho to steal it off him and make tracks towards the Brighton penalty area, but the Seagulls win it back. Van Hecker will play the ball out to the left-hand side. Van Hecker again just takes the game down to walking pace, under no pressure this time from the Stoke forward line. Lowe does come belatedly to close down the space, and the ball's back with Bart Verbruggen, and he will clear downfield right-footed, looking for the run of, well, Estepinian was the furthest forward, oddly enough, at that point. A bit strange. Back it goes into Brighton's path, picked up by Lallana. A little back heel for Baleba, but his attempted clearance smacked against Wouter Berger. He's hurt himself in the process there. Wouter Berger is smacking the turf with the palm of his left hand. He's hurt himself, and he will have to get some treatment from the physios. Meanwhile, Cameron Perpignan, who's been on loan at Cheltenham Town from Brighton for the first half of this season and has just come back. He's a midfielder. And Jack Hinchy, he's going to be on as well shortly for Brighton. But we'll wait and see what the situation is with Wouter Berger first. And the player coming off, first of all, is Billy Gilmore, who's had another good industrious display. And Hinchy's going to come on for him. He's been at Brighton for nearly a couple of years. He arrived from Stockport County at the back end of 2021. He comes on for Gilmore, and Perpignan will come on for Evan Ferguson for these last couple of minutes. Valuable experience for these youngsters.
Yeah, very much so. So Hinchy coming on, Billy Gilmore coming off. And Billy Gilmore started to get more influential when Brighton changed their team shape, because in the first half it's like a 4-2-3-1. And to be fair to Stoke City, Lewis Baker and Wouter Berger were stopping Brighton and stopping their flow, their passing flow in that first half. Then they changed it a little bit. Pascal Gross come to the right of the midfield with Billy Gilmore in the middle and João Pedro to the left. And then Brighton started to impose themselves. And he's like a continuity player, isn't he, Billy Gilmore? Dance. He just keeps the ball flowing. It looks very simple sometimes. It's like simple 10-15 yard passes, and he tries to get the ball going forward as much as he can.
Thoughts of Perry Groves with me, Ian Danter here at the Bet365, where Watford have broken Chesterfield Hearts late on in the FA Cup. A 95th minute winner, it seems, from Tom Jelly Bashiru. Watford 2, Chesterfield 1. Bradford 2, Crawley 3. A penalty from Danilo Orsi may well have won it for Crawley late on at Valley Parade. And Gavin Massey equalises for Port Vale. That's 3-3 at Vale Park in League One against Charlton. And Brighton coming forward again at 4-2 up, but Lallana sees the ball taken off his toe by Wouter Berger, who's back out there on the pitch having had treatment. Back it goes to Luke McNally. Plays the ball just ahead of square to Kiana Hoover. Good skill from Hoover. There's some signs for Stoke City, aren't there, Perry? Despite going down to defeat here to a Premier League side, that Stephen Schumacher's starting to get his philosophies across to his players.
Well, they matched Brighton, didn't they, for an hour? Obviously they went 2-1 down, got themselves back into it with Lewis Baker's penalty in the 63rd minute, and they started to make a game of it. But what happened, Dance, as I said, as Stoke were on the front foot and they were trying to close Brighton down, they put a lot of energy in that first 65-70 minutes. Then the game just started to spread out a little bit, and then the class of Brighton started to tell, especially with Pascal Gross, who started to get himself more involved on the ball, got himself a couple of assists. And I think Stephen Schumacher will just be really disappointed, especially from Brighton's second goal. Lewis Dunk's header where he just fell asleep from a short corner. So it's just all these little fine details, obviously in the end end up costing you the game.
Watford have beaten Chesterfield by 2-1. Replay at St Andrews. Hull 1, Birmingham 1 in the All Championship tie in the FA Cup. And we are playing out the last few seconds here at the Bet365 Stadium. Brighton fans away to our right, ready to launch into even louder song when the full-time whistle goes. They've won a late corner, have they? They have. Estepinian's hit the ball against Vidigal. Crawley have sealed the points at Bradford. They're now 4-2 up in the late stages. Clady Lolos makes it Bradford 2, Crawley 4. Bournemouth have knocked out QPR, having been 2-0 down. They've won 3-2 at Loftus Road. Short corner for Brighton. Finds Lallana. Just rolls his foot on the ball and attracts McLaren to the ball. It's given away. And away comes Stoke with Andre Vidigal, but he just runs into Lallana, who can just toe put the ball out of play. And it's a Stoke City throw with the 6 minutes nearly up here in the Potteries. And Stoke not in that much of a hurry to take the throw with Kiana Hoover. Looking for an option on halfway. In fact, he goes back to the edge of his own box, and Wilmot, who's closed down immediately. And now away down the left-hand side comes Perpignan. And he was just taken out there, Cameron Perpignan, down the left inside, but it is a throw. Perpignan collects the throw and then tried to give it back to Lallana, but it just drifted out of play. And the 6 minutes have been played. It's now down to Paul Tierney as to how much more we add on. Throw goes back into play from Hoover up to the halfway line. Low, Good strength from the youngster, holds it up and brings McCarron into play. Now left wing by Hove for Stoke City, almost level with the penalty area. Played into the feet of Ryan Mai, but it's dispossessed by Brighton and Hove Albion. Lallana finds Baleba and just lofts it back to Van Hecker at the edge of the area. Oh, given away by Van Hecker. Vidigal up to the edge of the box, runs into the area, out to the byline, right-hand side, tried to drill it across straight into the arms of Verbruggen, and that brings the cup tie to a close. And for the second year in succession, Brighton and Hove Albion win at Stoke City in the FA Cup. This time changed round 5 for round 3. They're through to round 4, but they were made to work hard. They went behind just after the quarter-hour mark through Jan-Paul Van Hecker's own goal. But Estepinian with a cracking goal brought them level right on half-time. Lewis Dunk put them ahead with a header from Gross's deft cross 7 minutes into the second half. And then just after the hour, it was 2-2. A penalty awarded for a Dunk handball. Penalty converted by Lewis Baker. But then João Pedro show. 2 goals in the space of 9 minutes from João Pedro sealed matters in Roberto De Zerbi's side's favour, and Stoke go back to their travails towards the lower mid-table of the Championship. Great game though, really enjoyed it. Full time at the Bet365. Stoke City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 4.
Thank you, Ian, Dante and Perry Groves. Also full time at Rodney Parade, Ian Abrahams.